now in its 7th season. It's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight, from the ballpark in Arlington, it's the New York Yankees and their ace right-handed David Cone. They take on the Texas Rangers and Will Clark. Clark and the Rangers red hot. It's the ESPN Sunday Night Game of the Week. Earlier today, in the first game of a doubleheader, former Met Kevin Elster homered against his former Met teammate, Dwight Gooden, with the big blow. Mickey Tettleton's 3-run, 5th-inning homer that made it 5-1 Rangers on their way to a 7-2 victory against Dwight Gooden. Now, welcome to the ballpark in Arlington for Game 2 of this doubleheader on Easter Sunday, 1996. It's the Yankees and the Rangers. Happy Easter, everyone. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan. Happy Easter, Joe. And welcome to our telecast. We certainly hope that you and your family will be able to enjoy the ball game right along with us. We're going to get a close look at the hottest team in baseball here in the first week, the Texas Rangers, 5-0. They have never trailed in a game so far this year. But now the Yankees, to avoid a sweep, go with their ace, right-hander David Cone.
Well, David Cone will have one obstacle he will not have to conquer tonight. Juan Gonzalez will not play. But Mickey Tettleton, who hit a home run in the first ball game, is in there. And Will Clark, I think, is the key for this Texas Ranger ball club for the rest of the season. His elbow is strong now. He's starting to pull the ball more, which is going to provide more power for the Rangers.
All right. Now, the Rangers will be going with Roger Pavlik. The Rangers overall have not hit all that well, and they will miss Gonzalez, who got hit in the arm with a pitch in the 2nd inning by Dwight Gooden. But the pitching has been outstanding, and Pavlik is coming off an excellent performance against the Red Sox earlier this week.
Well, they all concentrated, all 4 starters for the Rangers, they concentrated on throwing strikes, getting ahead of the hitters, and we'll see how that works. Ken Hill has done that. He's 2-0 now. But if you look at the middle of the Yankees order, you'll find that Martinez, Sierra, O'Neill, and usually Boggs, the 4 of them, none of them have hit a home run so far this year. So they are lacking some power there in the middle of the order.
All right. So can the Rangers keep it up, 5-0? Can the Yankees avoid being swept? Stay with us. It's coming up. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Dollar Rent-A-Car, where low rates are just one of the reasons Dollar makes sense. We'll be back with the Sunday night game of the week. 18-game winner David Cone will be in the mound for the Yankees, taking on the Texas Rangers and Will Clark, who had 2 hits and 2 RBIs already today in Game 1. It's the ESPN Sunday night game of the week. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from the ballpark in Arlington, Game 2 of the doubleheader here in Texas. And Joe Torre, the new Yankee manager, he had a great start this week as they swept the Cleveland Indians. In Cleveland, it's been a different story here in Texas, where they've lost the first 2. Here's his lineup. It'll be Wade Boggs at third base, Joe Girardi, the catcher, Paul O'Neill in right field, Ruben Sierra, the former Ranger, the DH, Tino Martinez, the former Mariner, first base, off to a slow start. Bernie Williams in center field hitting 6th. Dion James in left field. Tim Raines on the disabled list. Derek Jeter, the hotshot rookie at shortstop. And Andy Fox at second base, making his major league debut. And they'll be facing right-hander Roger Pavlik, who pitched very well against the Red Sox earlier this week.
Well, he has a very good slider and a changeup and a sinking fastball. So if he can stay ahead of the hitters, get them to chase the breaking ball. And let's take a look at the defense for the Texas Rangers. The real key here is Dean Palmer's back in the lineup at third base. He missed almost the entire season last year. Another problem for him is Kurt Stillwell will be at shortstop, replacing Benji Gill, who is out for the next couple of months.
And here is Wade Boggs. When they were sweeping Cleveland earlier this week in the 2-game series, Boggs had only 1 hit in 10 at-bats, but he's had 3 hits in the first 2 games of this series. And the first pitch to Wade Boggs misses for ball 1. Boggs was 1 for 5 in the first game today. I've got the judge guy reading there so we can get a feel as to how hard Pavlik is throwing the ball. Also, I think it's important to take note of how hard he's throwing here in the first, and then to see what kind of variations we get in that as the game goes along. 2-0 the count. Nice pitch on the outside. 2-1.
That's the important pitch for him, though, John. That ball really moved away from the left-handed hitter. And to control these left-handed hitters for the Yankees, he's going to have the fastball that moves away.
6 lefties in the batting order in this game for New York. Past Pavlik, and Boggs has another hit. His 4th hit of this series.
Same type of pitch. Fastball is moving away from Boggs. Boggs is being a good 2-strike hitter. All he did was just make contact. Didn't try to do too much with it. Watch, he doesn't try to pull the ball. Pitches away. See, look at that. Nice level swing. Just grounds the ball back through the middle for a base hit. A lot of people panic when they get 2 strikes, but Boggs likes to hit for 2 strikes. He doesn't panic anyway.
Now Joe Girardi, former Colorado Rocky. He hit .262 for Colorado last year with 8 home runs. There is ball 1. Girardi, this was one of the controversial exchanges during the winter. They let Mike Stanley go. He ended up with the Red Sox, and they went after Girardi from the Rockies. They felt Girardi maybe was a little stronger defensively. There goes Boggs. The hit run is on, and it's a foul off to the left. And Boggs will have to go back to first. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Joe Torre, but the Yankees not doing anything offensively here this weekend, Joe. Trying to force the action a little bit.
Well, I think that's a good idea when you're struggling, especially as I mentioned in opening. These guys have not hit or any power, the left-handed hitters on this ball club, so he's going to put some people in motion. And we might mention that Girardi hit second for the Colorado Rockies last year, and Don Baylor used him a lot in these types of situations to hit and run.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. Palmer shortens up to third now. That is a fair ball down the third baseline, and heading into the left field corner, Greer gives chase. Boggs to third. He's being waved home by Willie Randolph. The relay comes in, and he is out. Valley with the tag, and Boggs doesn't like it. Kurt Stillwell, in his first start at shortstop, the veteran, he made the relay, and Valley, another veteran, made the block at the plate.
Yeah, but he lost it because he did not run around third base. Boggs thought he was going to be held at third base, and Willie Randolph was trying to send him. Boggs slowed down and then had to speed up again. Now what? And that's why he was out. And the throw does beat him. Very close play at the plate. As you can see, Boggs gets his foot in there. Boggs claiming that his foot hit the bag before he was tagged. Pretty good argument, I would say.
Yeah.
But he slowed down coming to third, John. He thought he was only going to third base on the play, and Randolph was waving him all the way.
So the veteran making a mistake there.
Yes.
Taking something for granted. Here is Paul O'Neill, runner at second, 1 out. And strike 1 to O'Neill. O'Neill hitting .438 with 7 for 16 early on. But as you pointed out early, Joe, the big power guys for the Yankees have not yet displayed that power. No home runs for O'Neill. Well, the Rangers, for years, the knock on them has been the inability to execute defensively. They have often beaten themselves. And yet, under Johnny Oates, we saw it a great deal last year. Now we've seen it again here the first week of this season. They're making the big play.
Well, they're making this team over the way that Johnny Oates wants it, not just on defense, but offense as well. They're hitting and running. They're moving runners along. They're doing a lot of things, little things that help win ball games now. They're not just waiting for the big power hitters.
There's a changeup to O'Neill. Stealing with a couple of changeups there. 1 ball and 2 strikes now.
You got away with that pitch, though, John. You do not want to throw the changeup up in the hitter's eyes because they can see it better and judge the speed better on the high one.
1 ball and 2 strikes to O'Neill. Ruben Sierra is on deck. The Yankees beaten last night here 4-2, and then earlier today 7-2. And that sinks a little outside. 2-2 the count to O'Neill. Wade Boggs. Well, Boggs running the bases like that. Now that whole play was in front of him, Joe. So
right.
He apparently decided in his mind, I'm going to be held here, or I should be held.
Well, we can't see the corner. It looked like he fielded the ball cleanly, though. So it wouldn't have been any hesitation on Randolph's part and then start him again, because I was watching him when he rounded third base. He actually just slowed down when he was getting to third base, and then he had to speed up again when Randolph kept waving him home.
Is that symptomatic of a team that's having a problem scoring runs? Hey, make them execute. They got a shortstop, hasn't played in a week. 3-2 the count. probably was going to be ball four. Foul ball.
Let's take a look at the play. Greer digs it out perfectly, hits the cutoff man. That's the key. Now Stillwell throws a strike. Valley tries to block the plate, and you can see Boggs did get his foot in there, but it's a matter of whether he tagged him before his foot crossed the plate or not.
Well, I think the replay shows he probably was safe, but on the other hand, not a surprising call.
Exactly.
He slides right into the catcher who's blocking the plate like that. Probably he'll get that call most of the time. Joe Torre, who caught in his career, he knows about that. Down goes O'Neill. Tough pitch.
Very good pitch. He had thrown O'Neill a lot of change-ups away, and when you see the ball come inside, you automatically try to speed up, and you can't catch up with it. So he has a fastball on the inside part of the plate after throwing him a lot of change-ups away and a slider away. Smart pitch there.
Roger Pavlik. He's one of the wild cards for the Rangers in their hopes to be a contender in the American League West this year. He finished last season very strongly. And if that's the Pavlik who can be with the Rangers from the beginning this year, they think he could win 15 or more for them, and they probably need him to do that if they're going to be a good team.
He pitched well in the spring, too, John, which is an indication he just had the carryover from the end of last season. He just started right up in spring training, so he's been throwing well since that time.
4-1 with a 1.9 ERA last September. This is McLemore, and that's the inning. The Yankees do not score. Pavlik gets out of the jam. Hamilton, McLemore, and then Will Clark coming against David Cone when we get back. Yankees nothing. Rangers coming to bat from the ballpark in Arlington. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Johnny Oates in his second year as Rangers manager. And the Rangers not only are unbeaten this year, they have never trailed in a game. 3 against Boston and 2 against the Yankees. They've been ahead from either the first or second inning on in all 5 games and have never been behind. Darrell Hamilton, the former Brewer, leads off in center field. Mark McLemore at second base. Will Clark, 2 hits and 2 batted in game 1. He's hot. Mickey Tettleton with a big 3-run blast in the first, the DH. Warren Newson in for Juan Gonzalez, who has a bruise on his right forearm, but is available to pinch hit. Dean Palmer, third base. Rusty Greer in left field, hitting 7th. Kurt Stillwell, the veteran, at shortstop. And Dave Bally, another veteran, is the catcher in place of Ivan Rodriguez, batting 9th. And on the mound for the Yankees, they're hoping he'll be the stopper. That's the main idea with him. He's the big man. Cone defeated the Indians earlier this week.
And what Cone does is just win ball games, John. He will pitch as long as he has to win. He doesn't pitch a lot of shutouts, but he wins ball games. Good fastball, slider, change, and a splitter. And let's take a look at this unusual defense for the Yankees. They have 2 rookies there at shortstop and second base. Derek Jeter, of course, rookie of the year candidate at short, and Andy Fox making his first appearance in a Major League ball game.
So here is Darrell Hamilton, the new center fielder for the Rangers, and he takes strike 1 from David Cone. Hamilton, 6 for 22 at the start of the year. And off-speed delivery in there for a strike, 0-2. Cone says one of his goals, Joe, this year is to throw fewer pitches, to try and get hitters out earlier in the counts without getting so many strikeouts and having so many high-pitch games. Very high. The fastball, 1 and 2.
One of the all-time toughest games I've ever seen pitch was by Cone. He threw 160-plus pitches against the Giants when he was with the Mets, and he won the game 1-0.
Yeah, Mel Stottlemyre was there, the Mets pitching coach. There's a slider fouled away by Hamilton. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One question about Cone coming into this season was, how strong would he be? He was kind of dragging at the end of last season. And you remember that final game of the division series against the Mariners. 147 pitches he threw, and he admitted afterward that he was dragging. Amongst the spectators. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Hamilton. And then a lot of rumors started going around that maybe he was still hurting, that he still had pain, and Cone himself admitted when it came to spring training, he was going to have to prove to himself and to everybody that he was still healthy.
One of the problems that David Cone has is he's such a battler, and his manager always wants him out there. They leave him out there because he is a battler.
Back to Cone. So there is 1 away.
I'm going to show you something about the Wade Boggs miscommunication between he and Willie Randolph. when he was coming. Now watch right in here. Boggs will not be looking at Randolph. He'll be looking down the left field line, and he will slow up. And then, see right there, he's looking down the line. Now he looks over, he sees Randolph waving him, and he has to try to speed up again. He should have been watching Randolph quicker, and he would have made it easily. But again, there's the play at the plate.
Here is Mark McLemore right back at Cone. Cone's going to start taking this personally if they do that many more times here. Nice quick reactions by Cone on that one.
Well, if you're a left-handed hitter against a guy like David Cone, you should try to hit the ball back to the middle. See the ball running away? The ball will always tail away. The fastball tails away most of the time. And if you try to pull it, you're going to hit a lot of weak ground balls to second base. So you try to go back through the middle with that sinker away.
What I liked on the replay you just showed, Joe, before Boggs was at third, as Clark fouls away, here's a guy who had a leadoff from first base. Before he even got to third base, the other runner was pulling into second behind him. So we know that Boggs had slowed up.
Yes.
I mean, Girardi's not that much faster than Wade Boggs.
No.
Will Clark, the hitter. He really hit a booming shot in the first inning against Dwight Gooden in game one, which had to warm the heart of Johnny Oates, the manager, because Clark has not been able to really hit the ball with authority the last year or so. With some injury problems, but he blasted one to the deepest part of the ballpark against Cone for a first inning double in game one. 1-2 to Will Clark. He's hitting .412 at the start of the year. He's got 5 RBIs in the season's first 5 games. Last season, 16 homers, 92 batted in. He was hurt almost the entire year. He had bone chips floating around in his left elbow. It really restricted him some nights more than others. 2-2 the count to Clark. 2 down, nobody out. Okay. 3-2 now, Will Clark. Mickey Tettleton rather than Juan Gonzalez on deck. Again, Gonzalez got hit in the right forearm by a Dwight Gooden pitch in the first game and eventually had to leave the game. They took precautionary x-rays. The x-rays turned out to be negative. They said he's got a bruise on his right forearm, nothing serious. And he is available for this game as a pinch hitter if they need him. There's Juan. And Will Clark draws the walk. 2-out walk. And that keeps the inning going for Mickey Tettleton. We're talking about Gonzalez being hit in that first game. It looks like he's got some ice wrapped around that forearm right now as he watches. Let's go back to earlier this afternoon. Gooden, the pitcher. And there you see it. And, Joe, he stayed in. He ran the bases and even went out for an inning in the outfield. But eventually, I guess the swelling became such that they thought maybe they ought to check it out. And they took him out of the game. Mickey Tettleton. Now, this is a guy, Joe, that still doesn't have much of a national reputation, but every year for the past 4 or 5 years, he's up 30 home runs or more. 32 last year for this Texas club.
Well, he doesn't hit for a high average, and he strikes out a lot, but he also draws a lot of bases on balls. And as you mentioned, he hits the ball out of the ballpark. He produces some runs.
And that's a strike. Now, Mickey has 4 hits in 16 at-bats. As you see, the consistency with the home runs, except for the year of the strike, 94, up over 34 times in the last 5 years. But he has 7 walks already this year in 5 games. Clark back to the bag at first. Tettleton's home run in the first game not only was a backbreaker, 3-run shot, high into the upper deck it went. The 12th ball that's ever been hit into the upper deck here at the ballpark. He's hit 5 of them. 1-2 the count.
Well, Mickey's a good low ball hitter, as most left-handed hitters are. And the pitch from Gooden was down a little bit, so he got under it and was able to really drive it.
Tettleton, when he was with the Tigers, that's really where he's started getting the real big home run totals every year. He, once or twice every year, cleared the roof there at Tiger Stadium, which only the most powerful ever do. Got sort of an unorthodox looking stance there. Odd way of holding the bat. And down he goes. Nice pitch by David Cone. So Clark is stranded. There's no score after 1. Tino Martinez, Yankee newcomer, will be coming up when we get back. Easter Sunday, 1996, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Arlington, Texas. And hello, everyone. John Miller, Joe Morgan, your Sunday night telecasters, back for our 7th year together. And we will be with you every Sunday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, right here. If you're not sure who's playing, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you tune in every Sunday night because we'll have a ball game for you. Tino Martinez, real favorite with Mariners fans last year. That miracle season for the Mariners, but now he's with the Yankees, and he is thrown out by McLemore. There is one away, and Tino is off to a slow start, Joe. Now 2 for 15 at the beginning of the year.
And that's okay in Seattle, but it may not go over too well in Yankee Stadium. I think he better get his hitting shoes on before they get back home.
And unfortunately for Tino, I mean, he has been a slow starter over the years. Right? Last year when he put it all together for the Mariners. Here's Bernie Williams. He too off to a slow start, except look at that, 5 RBIs. He had a 3-run homer on opening day at the Jacobs Field. Bernie is steadily showing improvement year after year with the Yankees. Last year, 18 homers, 82 batted in. He's not an RBI man, though, generally, Joe, is a lefty. And he'll go that way a lot, batting left-handed. He's got his power and pulls the ball when he bats right-handed. Ball 1 strike as he faces Roger Pavlik in the 2nd inning. No score in the game. Bad start for the Yanks in this one. A single and a double from the first 2 hitters, and yet they did not score. Rangers with some nice execution to throw out Boggs at the plate. Pavlik misses down and in. 2-1 to Bernie Williams. Well, Ken Hill, the man that they signed in the offseason to become their #1 starter. All-time National League. He won the first game today. It's 2-0. That one is hit way back, and gone. Bernie Williams. He went the other way and hit it out of the ballpark. His 2nd home run of the year, and the Yanks are ahead, and it's the first time this year that the Rangers have been behind in a game at any time.
Well, you were just saying he doesn't hit with much power the other way from the left side. That ball was in the middle of the plate, moving away a little bit, and he drove it over the left center field wall.
Here's Dion James, big chop foul on the first base side. 1 strike to count. One nothing for the Yankees now in the 2nd inning on Bernie Williams' opposite field home run. And it's all part of becoming a truly top-level player, as the Yankees think Bernie Williams is going to become. The ability to give your team a lift. It's not just hitting homers and driving in runs. Sometimes it's doing it when your club's down and they need somebody to kind of carry him for a little bit.
Well, it's like the stopper on the pitching staff. When a team is struggling, you get a stopper. Let's take a look at the rotation on this pitch, and this is the fastball, and you can see the ball is rotating away. See how the ball is rotating away? It moves away, and Williams hits it over the left center field wall. That's what you call going with the pitch. I mean, that was good hitting there by Bernie.
First strike count to Dion James, and that's a ball. Right now, with Tim Raines on the disabled list, it'll be Dion James and Gerald Williams probably in left field for the Yanks. Sinker, that's a foul. So Dion stays alive. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yankees have that problem in left field right now. Not only was Raines going to be the left fielder, he's going to be the leadoff man. And also they have the problem at second base right now. That's a ball game. Looked at Pat Kelly as being their second baseman. He's got shoulder problems and is on the disabled list. They don't know when he's going to be able to get back. Tony Fernandez had moved over to second, was going to fill in, but he may be lost for the year now. So Joe Torre opens the year with some problems. Nice pitch, strike 3. Dion James down on strikes.
And it's good off-speed pitch there by Pavlik. Watch the ball go down and away. backseat away from the left-handed hitter. The speed fools him. Good pitch. We talked about him throwing fastballs, the tail away, change up. That was a change, and a slider that comes in on the left-hander.
Here's Derek Jeter now. Off to a very fine start with the bat. 5 for 13 with a home run and a couple of steals already. Look out. Almost like a measure of respect there.
Well, I think when you're a rookie, they want to find out if they can pitch you inside or outside. And I think he was just trying to come on the inside corner with that pitch, and it hit him. I don't think it was payback from the first game. I just think that he was trying to get inside. See, the target's down and in, and you see that ball just runs up and in on Jeter, and he wasn't able to get out of the way. When you're a rookie, they try to find the spot, either inside or outside. Very few people can cover the entire plate. Usually you're inside hitter or you like the ball away, and they're just trying to find out where he likes the ball so they can stay away from that spot, of course.
Well, here's Andy Fox, and this is his major league debut as Jeter just back to the bag. Yanks ahead 1-0, and Jeter is also a guy who can steal a base. Andy Fox spent about half the year at Columbus last year and hit .348 at Columbus. Started the year at Norwich and altogether hit .296 in the minors last year. He's from Sacramento, California. His middle name is Junipero, as was the famous Father Junipero Serra, who helped found the California mission system. And sure enough, Andy Fox graduated from Christian Brothers High School. Pavlik there. He is 25 years old, so he's a rookie, but he's paid his dues. He's been around a while. And a middle infielder with that rare quality of being able to hit left-handed.
You're right. It's a rare quality because obviously your middle infielders throw right-handed, so most of them are right-handed hitters.
One guy just offhand that I remember was a second baseman who hit left-handed.
Well, truthfully, there haven't been a lot of left-handed hitting second baseman.
This guy that I'm thinking of, though, did real well.
Okay. I'm following you so
okay.
far.
But you haven't identified him yet. That's a strike on the outside. 2-1. Joe Morgan, my partner, of course, second baseman who hit left-handed. I'm surprised though that you didn't switch hit, Joe. I should have brought this up when you were still playing. 2-1 to Andy Fox. And back to the bag, standing there is Jeter.
I've always had this thing against switch hitting simply because I used to play with one of the best switch hitters ever, Pete Rose, and there were times when he was swinging the bat well from one side and not the other. And he seemed like if he was swinging the bat well from the right side, they were all right-handed pitchers, so he hit left-handed.
There goes Jeter. Throws out Fox, and the inning is over. But the Yankees are ahead. And the Rangers, for the first time this year, have to play catch-up. 1-0 Yanks as we go to the last of the second. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. I'm John Miller and Joe Morgan from the ballpark in Arlington, Texas. And congratulations to you, Joe. Joe Morgan, last night down in Waco, Texas, was inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Quite an honor, Joe.
Well, it is, because they've had a lot of great players from this area and coaches that were inducted in the Hall of Fame before me, so it is a great honor.
They have their own board of directors.
Well, some video from the ceremonies there last night, so big night down there. Now, I understand there's some other guys who are pretty well known who have made it into that.
George Foreman, of course, Ben Crenshaw, who won the Masters last year. Actually, it was an interesting story. George Foreman was there right just before he won the heavyweight championship. Ben Crenshaw was there just before he won the Masters last year. I said, well, maybe I should make a comeback. Maybe something good will happen to me out there on the field.
This is a big story. Joe Morgan announcing tonight that he's going to make a comeback. Have you signed with anybody yet?
No.
Here's Warren Newson. Yankees are looking for a second baseman.
I think they're looking for a good one, though.
Got that little short porch at Yankee Stadium, Joe. You could just play home games for him.
Now, I like that.
Yeah. In his perfect story will top Ryan Sandberg's return in Chicago. David Cohn on the hill, and he's got a lead here. Cohn has not yet allowed a run this year. in opening the season against Cleveland last Tuesday. He went 7 shutout innings against the league champion Indians and allowed only 2 hits in that game. Warren Newson filling in for Juan Gonzalez. And Newson was hitless in the first game, but drew 2 walks and scored 2 runs and stole a base for the Rangers. Newson's, in many ways, a very handy man to have in a ball club.
Very handy. He can do a lot of things. He can, best of all, he can come off the bench and pinch hit for you, but he can spot, play in a few different spots for you and take over when Gonzalez gets, hurt like he did the first game, or during the season when they just want to give him a day off.
Rangers did a lot of running in that first game. They stole 4 bases against the Yanks. High in the air, deep left field. James is back in front of the wall. It's gone. Home run, and it's tied up. Warren Newson.
To the ballpark, they were complaining to Seiko and Gonzalez and those guys saying the ball didn't carry well to left field. But we've seen 2 balls go out there here in the evening.
The home run by Bernie Williams in the first half of the inning out into left center, and then this one to straightaway left as Dean Palmer stands in. In fact, late in that first game, Joe, we saw a couple of balls hit out there that carried very well as well. So that's not good news for David Cohn and his counterpart, Roger Pavlik. And this is a guy who can get it into the air to left field, Dean Palmer. Warren Newson, big smile on his face as he goes deep in his first start as a Ranger. Only his 15th home run lifetime.
Well, let's take a look at the pitch. You see, they set up away. The ball is in, middle of the plate in. Looks like a little slider, middle of the plate in, and Newsom hammers it over the left field wall.
Just made it in over the scoreboard there. 2-1 the count to Dean Palmer. Slider in there for a strike. 2-2 the count. Dean Palmer missed most of last year. He was off to his best start. And had a real freak injury. The slider just did get a piece of it. 2-2 the count. Now Palmer got a little bit of a setback at the very beginning this year with a strained hamstring. Missed the first couple of games.
And John, you could tell how anxious he was to get back in here. He ran out. His first game this year was against Tim Wakefield, who's a knuckleball pitcher. He really wanted to get back in the lineup.
Oh, tough pitch there by Cohn. Strike 3. Second strikeout for Cohn.
Good slider from Cohn down the way, and this is, to me, his bread and butter pitch along with the splitter. But you can see, now that's not a slider. That's the splitter right there. I'm glad we showed that because the pitch looked like a slider when I saw it regular motion, but that was a splitter.
Here's Rusty Greer now. See, it was a good idea to bring all this equipment along. That's Jeter at the catch in shallow left, and Greer is promptly retired for out number 2.
The great thing you could see on that replay was that the splitter, the ball was tumbling, the seams were tumbling down, and the ball just falls straight down. The ball will always go the way the seams are tumbling or turning.
And you saw the panoramic view from the top of what they call the home run porch here at the ballpark in Arlington, out in right field. There's Kirk Stillwell, and he takes ball 1. 1-1. The right field area here. Not really an inviting home run porch like Tiger Stadium, but it looks a little bit like Tiger Stadium. High and foul out of play on the left field side. Jeter giving chase, but it's well back in amongst the spectators. Pretty good crowd here tonight on this holiday evening. I think we have more people here for the second game of the doubleheader than we did for the first game. A lot of people, I think, just decided to come out for the second game, which was the regularly scheduled game. And Cohn misses high. 2-1 the count. It's a 1-1 game in the last of the second. each team with a home run here in the second inning. Stillwell chases that one. Back out of play. 2-2 the count.
That was a fastball from Cone, and I must admit that in the past when he would throw a lot of breaking balls down low and then he turned the fastball loose high, you couldn't catch up with it. So he may have lost a couple of miles an hour off that high fastball.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen him break 90 yet, and the Doug's got it tonight. Slider, that's a little bit low. Well, Phil Orleans, our producer, tells me that he's hit 91 on one pitch. Yeah.
It was, huh?
Well, we've been seeing him mostly 88, 89.
Yeah. But when he used to throw the high fastball, that was see you later, and that's how he threw it, up in the strike zone, up a little bit out of the strike zone, actually, and the hitter could not catch up with it with 2 strikes.
3-2. High in the air, left field, James going back. He's there now, and he makes the catch. There must be a jet stream heading out to left field. The ball is really jumping to that part of the ballpark. Warren Newsom with his 15th career homer. It's tied up. Boggs and the Yankees coming up. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. They keep America running. Yanks won, Rangers won. Here we go to the third inning, top of the order for New York. Wade Boggs. First ball swinging. That's a rarity, and he is retired. He hit it solidly, but right to Darrell Hamilton in center field. And just like that, there is one away.
We saw how level Boggs' swing was in the first inning when he hit the ground ball back through the middle. Let's take a look at this one. Just pretty level, but just a little bit on the upward motion. That's why he hit it in the air. That's a beautiful swing, though. Great contact. His head stays right there. It's a beautiful hitter.
This is Joe Girardi. He hit the double down the left field line, which Boggs got thrown out trying to score. He is 1 for 1. It's a ball. Girardi with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Paul O'Neill on deck. Girardi hit that double right down the left field line, and Boggs got waved home, but as Joe Morgan pointed out, Boggs kind of hesitated before he picked up Randolph's signal, and he got nailed at the plate. 1-2 now to Girardi.
It was interesting when we talked about Girardi hitting second for the Rockies last year a lot, and he does hit and run a lot. But he also runs pretty well. And we'll show you that as well later on. He runs well for a catcher. Actually, he runs well for a player.
Talking about faint praise.
Yeah, that's what I thought about that after I said it.
Hits well for a pitcher.
Yeah, right.
Which isn't saying much. It's in the old Groucho line. Runs well for a catcher, and that's not saying much for him. 2-2 to Girardi. Roger Pavlik. With the fastball there, 91 miles an hour, and he fouled it back. Well, he is rather fast, Joe, and when he hit that double, look at this, where he was, look, and where Boggs was.
Yeah. Well, he was that's Boggs. Now watch, here comes Girardi into the play, and if Girardi's almost at second base, and remember, Boggs had like a 90-foot lead to first base plus whatever lead he took off the bag.
Girardi with his 3rd strikeout.
Again, the key to Pavlik and Cone is to keep the ball down except when you want to come way up in the strike zone. Look at that pitch. Beautiful pitch there, and that the bottom just falls out of it. Change up, it goes down, and Girardi was out in front.
Now here is Paul O'Neill. O'Neill has not had a bad season since he came to New York. Won a batting title. Knocks it up. McLemore out. Newsom calls him on. And that is the inning. 3 up and 3 down for the first time for the Yanks. We go to the last of the third now. It's a 1-1 game. O'Neill expressing his team's frustration here. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. That's the view here at the ballpark in Arlington. from high up in the home run porch out there in right center field. This is a huge ballpark and a very beautiful ballpark, the home of the Rangers. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and here we go to the Rangers half of the third inning, and Dave Valley will lead it off. Rangers backup catcher behind Ivan Rodriguez. David Cohn on the hill. And there's ball one. Dave Valley did something, Joe, I thought was really worthy of mention. He founded a group called Esperanza International, a nonprofit group designed to make loans to needy people in the Dominican Republic. Sort of a way for people to empower themselves, to start small businesses, to go on and become productive members of the community. And it's a comeback there. Cohen throws him out. There's one away. Now here's an update from Larry Beal.
Thanks, guys. Network NCI takes us to the Jake. Big day for Albert Bell. Comes up in the sixth. Blue Jays and the Indians, and cranks it down the line. Fair or foul? Fair or foul? Hits the pole. That's a fair ball. Solo shot. Next at bat, here it comes. There it goes. In the eighth, off of Mike Timlin, another solo shot. The bell tolls for the Indians to win at 8-3. Back to John and Joe and I.
Thanks, Larry. And here's McLemore hitting, or rather Hamilton hitting a foul ball back out of play. By the way, we'll see the Cleveland Indians this Wednesday night in the first half of our Wednesday night doubleheader at Camden Yards. Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, Eddie Murray, the former Oriole, facing Cal Ripken, Bobby Bonilla, and Roberto Alomar, the Baltimore Orioles. And then the second game, the world champion Braves, Fred McGriff and company, against Mike Piazza and the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Nice bunt by Hamilton. Cone, well, he made it as close as possible, but that's a beautiful bunt single for Darrell Hamilton.
A lot of people say bunting is a lost art, but this is a perfectly executed bunt by Hamilton. See, catches it right out on the end of the bat. Deadens the ball. Nothing that Cone can do with that. Just an excellent play. Cone makes a good play by getting off the mound so quickly because he pounces out, but he can't get anything on the throw, and Hamilton beats it out for a base hit. Beautiful bunt there.
And Hamilton, if they're not very careful, will be at second base shortly. He's a guy who can steal a base. He's stolen more than 40 in the season in years past with Milwaukee. McLemore, the hitter, and there's ball one. By the way, we have a news story breaking right here involving my broadcast partner, Joe Morgan. We said, I thought it was just, frankly, Joe, I was kidding. I think most people thought I was kidding about your comeback as a second baseman, but now you've been contacted here. Joe has received it looks like a fax from the New York Yankees here. Read it.
It says, to Mr. Joe Morgan from Mr. George M. Steinbrenner regarding comeback. Please contact me tomorrow at Yankee Stadium regarding a comeback at second base. We are wide open. Well, I thank you, George, but we were only kidding.
Oh, Joe, come on. Get the glove out tomorrow.
No.
I'll hit some ground balls to you.
It'll take more than that, John. And I'm sure he wants a good second baseman, as I said before.
1 ball, 1 strike to Mark McLemore. Yeah. Joe Torre, he's right now in the back of his mind thinking, oh, Joe. I wonder if he could come back, at least for a short time.
Just for a day or two, huh?
You'd be the first guy that, before they signed you, would have to go on the disabled list, though.
Well, you're probably correct there.
Yeah, that'll be your fax back to George Steinbrenner. George, be glad to sign with you, but first I have to go on the disabled list.
You get in shape, huh?
Yeah, please send checks immediately. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Mark McLemore. Will Clark is on deck. I said, Peter Pasquarelli says it's like doing the Larry King show. We're making news here.
Well, I could put my name right under Reigns, huh?
Yeah.
On the DL. Yeah. Tony Fernandez, Melito Perez, Kamenicki, all of them on the disabled list.
You go right out to Maui to start your rehab assignment.
Maybe we're on to something here. If he can rehab in Maui.
2-1 the count to Mark McLemore. It's a 1-1 game. Last of the third inning. Will Clark on deck for the Rangers against that man, David Cone. 18 wins last year in a shortened season. 16 the year before when he won the Cy Young Award in what was really 2/3 of the season. And Cone, who's been one of the top pitchers around since he really emerged about 8 years ago. But right now, Joe, we've seen him sort of evolve into a guy who's not just somebody who can blow it past people. He's become the thinking man's pitcher as well.
And he's thinking right now that Hamilton's getting too big a lead, and he almost caught him going the wrong way there. Hamilton did make a false step, so watch him make a false step over there, right there, and Cone throws over. He doesn't get him, but he keeps him close.
Yeah, you see right there how close it was.
I think it was interesting. Cone got a call from Mr. Steinbrenner this winter saying, come to the Yankees. Stay there, I should say.
And that's a foul by McLemore. The runner going. The hit and run was on. It's 2-2.
And that was important for David because he said he was tired of being a hired gun, going, you know, to wherever they needed someone to help them win a pennant. So he decided to stay with the Yankees, and I'm sure he's happy about that.
He thought that he was about to sign with the Baltimore Orioles. He went after him pretty hard. The New York Mets had gotten involved at the 11th hour. Joe McIlvaine stopped at his apartment in Manhattan to make him an offer. And then when it looked like he was on his way out of New York, the story goes that George Steinbrenner called him up and the deal was made. And although it also appeared to be the best offer of any of them, Cone said the thing that was attractive to him was the no-trade part of the contract where he knew that he'd be able to stay in a certain spot for a while after all the traveling he's done. There goes Hamilton. Pitches low. And he's got the steal. Fox backs up the play.
Take a look at this. Now watch his front foot. He gives you the false step, which means he's going to be running in place. Right there. See how he picks his foot up and puts it back down in the same place. You're supposed to pivot on that foot and go. A good throw there, they would have had him.
Well, that's the 5th steal of this doubleheader for the Rangers. 3-2 now. McLemore pulls one to Tino Martinez, and he'll take it himself for the put out at first with Hamilton over to third base, and Will Clark coming up. Clark walked his first time. Last year, Clark was one of the very best in the majors in the clutch. I mean, he found a way to get guys home when they were in scoring position. He wasn't hitting with power, but he was getting the big base hit. And here's a spot right here. You see last year, only 3 homers in these spots, but he got a lot of them home.
Well, he doesn't need a home run here, John. He just needs a base hit, and that's what Will goes up there to do. He's a good situation hitter. If they need a home run, he'll try to go for it, but if they just need a single as they do now, he will try to hit a single.
Popped up, and that will go back on the play. Not much foul territory in this ballpark.
The impressive thing about Will Clark for me is that I've seen him evolve into a real good hitter. When he first came up, he had a long swing. He generated a lot of power. He hit some home runs. But he was easy to pitch to in that he would chase a lot of breaking balls in the dirt. Very rarely now will you see him chase a lot of pitches out of the strike zone.
2 down, runner at third. A 1-1 game. It is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mickey Tettleton is on deck, so there's not much advantage to pitching around a dangerous hitter like Clark in this spot. The powerful Tettleton on deck. There's Hamilton at third, 2 down. 1-1, last of the third. From the windup, Cone. Slider on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. Beautiful pitch. David Cone gets out of the jam. Ruben Sierra will be coming up. It's 1-1 after 3. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN continues here from Arlington as Ruben Sierra, former Ranger, takes ball 1 from Roger Pavlik. Sierra grounded to second his first time. He's a switch hitter, batting left-handed, hitting cleanup for the Yanks. Some big guns coming up here. And it's outside again. On deck, Tino Martinez and then Bernie Williams. So 3 left-handed hitters, all with some power coming up here. Double checking, the Yankees have 7 left-handed hitters in their order against Pavlik tonight, including 2 switch hitters. Earlier I had said 6. And it is 3-0 to Sierra. All right, it's a 1-1 game. To Joe Torre. So Ruben, go ahead and hammer this one into the upper deck if you like it.
I don't think so. I'll tell you why.
Well, it's ball 4.
Well, I'm going to try to show you the difference between Roger Pavlik and also David Cone. Watch, see the marks. Let's take a look at the delivery. Watch, this is where Cone ends up. And he steps straight ahead. Take a look here. This is where Pavlik will end up, way over here. He throws across his body. And I'll tell you the importance of that in a second. Let's take a look at Pavlik. He will step way over here as compared to Cone. See the 2 dark marks. The one on the far right is Cone. That one is Pavlik. And I'll explain why that is important when we get a chance here.
Tino Martinez, the hitter, with Ruben Sierra at first base. Nobody out in the 4th inning of a 1-1 game. Tino Martinez rounded out to second his first time. Little block on the bag with Ruben Sierra there at first. Middle infield, double play depth. The outfield straight away. Just off the outside. Now, I'm waiting for this explanation, Bill.
Well, I was going to try to wait till he hit, and then I'll show you. But the real reason, watch where Pavlik's pitches go. His ball always kind of tails away from the left-handed hitter and into the right-hander because he steps over towards third and throws across his body. So the rotation will be moving that way.
High in the air in the right center. Plenty of room for Newsom. One away. Sierra back to first.
One of the difficulties that Pavlik has is to be able to get his fastball on the outside edge to the right-handed hitter. And the problem with that is that the ball rotates back from that angle because he's throwing across his body. And Cone, on the other hand, steps straight down the line so he can move the ball left and right. And that's a problem that Pavlik has had throughout his career. And he's been working on it, trying to be able to get the ball on the outside edge a little better.
Here is Bernie Williams now. Bernie homered to left center. Back in the second for the Yankees run. 1-1, top of the 4th. 1 out, 1 on. And it's down and away. 1 ball and no strikes. Now, throwing it across the body like that seems like it would put a little extra strain on his arm, wouldn't it?
There's no doubt that it puts an extra strain on his arm.
He's had shoulder problems the year before last, 1994. He was on the disabled list with shoulder problems 3 different times. That's into left center. Greer started breaking back in the ball. Had to circle back in to make the catch. Bernie Williams retired, 2 down.
But the thing to notice is that he really can't get inside hard with a fastball on the left-handed hitter, and he can't get the fastball on the outside edge to a right-handed hitter. That's a difficult thing. He starts that ball inside to the left-hander and moves out over the plate. See, that ball is always moving away. And it's always because he steps across and that rotation goes the other way. And Rusty broke back on it first, and then he came in and made the catch. Rusty made a great catch here when Kenny Rogers pitched his no-hitter. Just a great diving catch in center field.
Kenny Rogers. Now, he left the Rangers, though.
Yeah, I know.
2 down, and here is Dion James on the outside again. Strike 1 call. Dion struck out his first time. Rogers was going to make his debut as a Yankee in this ballpark this weekend, but then they got rained out in Cleveland the other day, and that changed the rotation around. Rogers at this point is not scheduled to make a start until April 23rd. Liner in the left, and Greer knocks it down. And heading for third is Sierra. Greer throws over there. Single by James, and then Greer recovers and makes a perfect throw. They're waiting for Sierra. Sunday Night Baseball from Texas, and it is 1-1. Some misadventures for the Yankees and the base paths. And look at that, Joe. Ruben Sierra having a little heart-to-heart with his manager, Joe Torre, after that play.
Well, I'm sure Joe Torre is reminding him that in baseball you do not make the first out or the last out of an inning at third base. If you go to third base with 2 outs, you have to be sure. I mean, you can't even be a close play. Or if you go to third with no outs, you have to be completely sure that you're going to make it.
And also, I think we've uncovered a reason as to why he did not make it. And it was just a matter of really not hustling from the get-go on the single to left.
Either you're aggressive, there are 2 ways to run the bases. Very aggressively or kind of cautiously. And he was cautious, and then he made up his mind to be aggressive, and I think it was a little too late.
Tettleton, base hit over the head of Martinez into the right field corner. O'Neill will have to go in and get it. And Tettleton has a stand-up double.
That's one of the good oddities about this ballpark, John. You see, he ripped this ball into the corner, and it doesn't come out. We saw earlier the ball hit down the left field line. It did come out. Now he hooks this ball over Martinez's head. Now to bounce backwards. You see Paul O'Neill's waiting for it to come there, but it doesn't bounce to him, so he has to go get it.
Mickey Tettleton, who had the 3-run homer in Game 1 that broke it open against Dwight Gooden. Now a double against David Cohn. And here is Newson, who homered to left field his last time. Swag on the outside.
And you'll see Cohn tried to work him away, trying to keep him from pulling the ball. If he can. That was a breaking ball that caught the outside corner. And when he throws a fastball, he will try to tail it away.
1-1 now. Newsom would like to pull the ball here. Get that man over to third.
Slider in.
Got a pitch to pull.
Yeah, he did. That was a good pitch to hit.
0-2
Not
count.
just to pull, but to hit.
Well, now when it's 2 strikes, so Joe, I mean, he'd still like to pull the ball, but he's going to have to be careful.
Well, with 2 strikes, you just hit. You just try to drive the runner in from second base.
And I don't imagine Cohn's going to give him anything to pull here, do you?
Well, but you got to try to just drive him in now. You don't worry about pulling the ball. You just worry about trying to drive him in.
Well, he moves him back to the fastball. 91 miles an hour on the Jugs gun there. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Newsom. In there, in place of Juan Gonzalez. He's got a bruise on his right forearm. Nobody out. Tettleton at second. You see him there, number 15. He comes in again with a fastball.
Well, those are 2-purpose pitches, John. He was ahead in the count 0-2. He wants to move him off the plate once, and then he decided to do it again. Now, what that does is psychologically it makes you think that he wants to pitch you inside, and I'm sure he will try to go away with this pitch.
Another way with the slider. It's fouled off to the left. Maybe not as far away as he intended to.
No, Girardi was set up way out on the corner, and he got a piece of the plate with that pitch.
A moment ago, you saw Juan Gonzalez in the dugout. He's got that bruised right forearm wrapped up in an ice bag there. Fastball. Foul deep down the left field line. 2-2. Gonzalez. And we might see him later in the game if there's a spot arises in the game where they need a big right-handed bat. Johnny Oates has said that Gonzalez would be available for that. 1-1. Runner at second, nobody out. Newsom battling it out with David Cohn. Newsom keeps fighting off pitch after pitch. 2-2. Out here in the Texas prairie, this giant, spectacular ballpark in Arlington, the ballpark, as they call it down here. 2-2 the count. And he misses badly with that slider. Well, now Cohn, who had him at 0-2, and he's not been able to make that big pitch to put him away.
Well, when he started out, he got a hit 0-2. He wanted to make sure that he didn't give him a pitch that he could pull. Now his whole concept is just to get him out.
Dean Palmer, powerful right-handed hitter on deck. 3-2. And a fastball. Newsom fights it off. 3-2 to Newsom. This will be the 10th pitch of this sequence to Newsom, who has been a nuisance to that man, David Cone. A homer by Newsom in the second. There's Tettleton at second. And he got it done, Joe. Got his man over to third base. Tettleton takes third. That's quite an at-bat by Warren Newsom after falling in the hole at 0-2.
It's a good job. And that's how you win ball games, making the little things happen for your ball club. And you see all his teammates patting him on the back. Good job. I mean, little things like that are just as important as hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Also important for a guy off the bench in place of one of your big guys, getting things done for you when you need them. Now the Yankees bring the infield in at the corners, halfway at short and second, as Dean Palmer takes a strike. Palmer struck out his first time. Let's see how they play it here. And Jeter at shortstop in halfway. Second baseman Fox in a little bit more than that even. This is a spot where Cole would like to get the strikeout out of it. Fastball misses. 1-1, and of course he's a guy who can get a strikeout. David Cone. He's used to pitching these tight games. Last of the fourth. Cone trying to be the Yankee stopper here tonight. Oh. 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Joe Torre. So the Yankees win one here. They have not done well here in Texas the last few years. You see, Palmer, he has never had a hit against Cone and has almost never put the ball in play against him.
And make no mistake about it, he knows that, and David Cone knows that.
Well, if he throws another pitch like he just threw, that string of futility for Palmer against Cone may continue. 1-2. 2-2. He dropped down on that one.
Yeah, it's one of the things that David Cone will do against the right-handed hitter sometimes, drop down, and he'll throw the fastball up and in just to keep them honest. Then he'll throw it when he drops down the next time, he'll throw the slider breaking away.
The Laredo slider. There's a slider, and he struck it out. Palmer with his 9th strikeout in 12 career at-bats against David Cone.
I would take a look at this pitch. You see where Girardi is set up, and that is the slider there. You can see him bring his wrist across, and there's the rotation. See that little hole in it is tighter on a slider than it is on a curveball. The hole is a little smaller.
Here's Rusty Greer, a left-handed hitter. Now the Yankees can move their infield back into normal depth. Greer popped out short his first time. Greer has picked up 2 assists from the outfield in this game. Sliders in there for a strike. 1 in the first inning, helping to get Boggs at the plate, and then 1 nailing Ruben Sierra to end the 4th inning. Now Greer would like to add to his defensive performance with a little offense here. 1 ball, 1 strike. This inning started when Tettleton doubled into the right field corner. Newsom got into third with a ground out, but then Palmer could not get it home. Johnny Oates hoping that Greer can. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
John, I'll tell you one thing that goes unnoticed sometimes. Apparently in spring training, Girardi gained the confidence of David Cone. And Cone is not afraid to bounce the breaking ball or to throw the splitter down low because he knows Girardi will be able to keep it in front of him.
There's the riding fastball, 2-2.
And that really helps a pitcher because there are times when you have a runner at third base and 2 outs, you take a couple of pitches away from the pitcher, and that he's afraid to break off the real good slider or the curveball.
Tettleton at third. Bernie Williams. And that ends the inning. Some outstanding pitching by David Cone to get out of the jam. 1-1 as we go to the 5th.
Larry Beal with an update for you. Earlier today, the Braves and the Cardinals. Chipper Jones just back off the DL. Nice way to come back. First inning, A drive that is high and deep, and aloha means goodbye. Chipper Jones fielding Chipper, 4 for 4 with 4 ribbies. Braves win 13-3. Now back to Arlington.
All right, Larry, thank you. Here it is 1-1 as we go to the 5th inning. Derek Jeter leads off against Roger Pavlik. Dean Palmer across from third, and 1 pitch for 1 away. By the way, Chipper Jones almost had the cycle today. He needed just a double to get the cycle, but he never got it. And we'll see on Wednesday Night Baseball, the Cleveland Indians and the Baltimore Orioles. Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, Eddie Murray, Carlos Baerga and company, Cal Ripken and the Orioles at 7:30 Eastern. And then Fred McGriff, Chipper Jones, and the Atlanta Braves facing Mike Piazza, Eric Karros, Raul Mondesi, Brett Butler, the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. The second half of our Wednesday night doubleheader. The American League champion Cleveland Indians and the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore's 5-1 to start the year. They won again today back in Mike Messina. Bobby Bonilla hit a home run. Roberto Alomar has worked some first week magic already for his Orioles team. So it should be a great night of baseball.
Well, both teams have a lot of good players in them.
I'm going to tell you what, Cleveland and the Orioles, 2 of the top contenders in the American League, and then the Braves and Dodgers, 2 of the top in the National League. I think maybe that I felt this winter anyway. Yeah, some ESPN fans on this Easter Sunday. I felt really that maybe the Dodgers would be the one team in the National League really could be a threat to the Braves if they, number one, if they can get to the postseason. Of course, they've lost Ramon Martinez now, which is not very good. But then Chan Ho Park came in and pitched great at Wrigley Field in relief of Ramon yesterday. 2-1 the count to Andy Fox, the rookie in his first major league game, facing Pavlik. Blew a fastball past him. 2-2 the count. Wade Boggs on deck. 1-1 in the top of the 5th. Pavlik is allowed 4 hits. He's got 3 strikeouts with 1 walk. And that's a ball. David Cohn on the other side has allowed 3 hits and has 4 strikeouts and 1 walk. Each team has hit a home run. Bernie Williams for the Yanks and Warren Newson off the bench for a home run against that man, David Cohn, sitting alongside Derek Jeter in the Yankee dugout. Pavlik powered it past him. By the way, we mentioned Roberto Alomar with the Baltimore Orioles, whom we will see on Wednesday Night Baseball. And Alomar had a great play today, and here's Larry Beal to tell us about it.
Thanks, John. We're listening to every word here. Orioles and Twins, 7th inning, 2-1 game. O's leading. Mike Messina facing Greg Myers. There's Roberto Alomar. Ground ball into the hole. The dive comes up, throws from his knees in time. Orioles win it 4-2 behind Messina. You ask and you receive, John.
Thank you, Larry. Wade Boggs takes a strike on the outside.
Well, I think
Joe, maybe that'd be just the way you do it when you sign with the Yankees and your comeback.
I may have had to make a dive. I wouldn't come up with anything. Actually, when I was going to make the comment that I think Alomar, there's my contract. I may have to keep that.
This came in tonight. Rick Cerrone, the Yankees PR man, delivered this from George Steinbrenner. Please contact me tomorrow at Yankee Stadium regarding a comeback at second base. We are wide open. 2-1 the count to Wade Boggs. Yeah, it's a big night for news here in Texas.
Actually, I would have loved to have played for Joe Torre. I know Joe pretty well. We've played against each other for a long time, and I think he's a great player's manager.
Far from denying that he's going to make a comeback. Joe talking about how much he'd love to play for Joe Torre.
I read an interesting comment that Joe Torre made. They were asking how he was going to take the heat in New York. He said, well, if I win every game, no one will complain. That's the way Joe Torre is, though. He's kind of relaxed type of manager, and I think he will do well in New York.
3-1 to Boggs, who is 1 for 2 in this game. McLemore from shallow right juggles it. Just got him at first. 3 up and 3 down. We're halfway through it in Texas. It's 1-1 from Arlington. We'll be
1-1, the Yankees and the Rangers, and that's the reason we've talked so much about the base running, because the Yankees have possibly given away a couple of runs in a 1-1 ball game, John.
Well, maybe you just joined us. We'll get into that base running for the Yankees in a little bit greater length here in a moment as Kurt Stillwell takes ball 1.
Well, we talked about a 1-1 ball game, and Boggs made a base running mistake maybe in the first inning, and Sierra also in the fourth inning. As we see Sierra here now, remember there are 2 down, and he makes up his mind right there after slowing down that he's going to go to third, and he's out, and that's the 3rd out of the inning.
Meanwhile, a pop-up to short by Stillwell, and Jeter staggering a little bit, the wind blowing around here, and Stillwell is retired for 1 away.
And base running mistakes or plays cost you just as much as a pitcher giving up a home run, because that's possibly a couple of runs the Yankees could have on the board, and they do not have them, and therefore we're in a 1-1 ball game.
And a distinction, Boggs' mistake, the play was in front of him, and he just did not communicate with Willie Randolph. He just assumed that he was going to stop at third, and belatedly saw Randolph waving him home. But Sierra just didn't really hustle from the get-go. He just said, well, that's a single to left. I'll just trot over to second. The ball got away from Greer, the left fielder, and then he said, maybe I ought to go to third. Well, he would have been to third easily had he run hard from the crack of the bat with 2 down. Dave Valley, the hitter, by the way, 2 strikes the count, facing David Cone in the last of the 5th. Valley, a native New Yorker, grew up a Yankee fan. 1-1, last of the 5th inning. Oh, there's that splitter. Strike 3. Nasty pitch. Number 5 in the strikeout column for David Cone.
Well, between the slider and the splitter, it's very difficult for a right-handed hitter to handle David Cone. You see that ball, the spin down and in, breaks back and down and in on Valley, and he really doesn't have any chance because it gets you 2 ways. One with the movement, the other is with the speed. The change of speed hurts you as well.
Darrell Hamilton got a bunt single his last time. Cone has had some pressure both in the 3rd and 4th innings. Hamilton got a bunt single, stole second, but Cone got out of it with some big hitters up there. And then a leadoff double by Tettleton in the 4th. But again, Cone got through it. So he's had to pitch under duress here for a little bit in a tight game, but he's been able to get it done.
Well, John, I judge a pitcher by how he keeps the damage to a minimum. They had a leadoff double. He got out of the inning without any runs being scored. But even if he would have given up 1 run, that's okay. A lot of pitchers, when they get in trouble and have to go into the stretch, they just seem to open the floodgates, and they give up a lot of runs before they can get the other team out. But that's what makes David Cone a good pitcher. He is a battler, and he knows how to pitch.
Fastball fouled back by Hamilton. 2-2. 2 down, nobody on in the 5th inning. Now, one thing to keep in mind, since this is only his 2nd start of the year, here we are only in the 5th inning, and Cone has now thrown 80 pitches in this game. Once he gets up around 100, then they'll start thinking about maybe we got to get him out of here soon. And it's only the 5th. Slider on the outside, just missing. 3-2. McLemore would be next. 1 run, 4 hits for the Yanks. 1 run, 3 hits for the Rangers. There's Mel Stottlemyre. He's Yankee pitching coach, keeping a close eye on Cone in this one. Still 3-2, and as Hamilton bounces it foul. This is one thing, too, of the Rangers, Joe, that we haven't often seen in the past. They've always had a lot of free swingers.
Right, you're right.
Guys who don't make pitchers work. And we've seen tonight, one thing they've been stressing under Johnny Oates, have a lot more quality at bats, be a little more patient, make them work harder out there. 3-2 the count.
Well, a good example of that is Ivan Rodriguez is now hitting second most of the time when he plays. And last year he got 16 bases on balls the entire season, and he already has 3. So he is being a little more patient in the second slot.
And Hamilton hits another one foul. 3-2 the count to Hamilton as he battles it out with David Cone as the pitch count continues to rise.
Ivan Rodriguez, calling him Pudge, at least his teammates do. Affectionately, I might say.
Derek Jeter in the dirt, pulled out by Tino Martinez. And the Rangers go down in order for the first time tonight. Girardi, O'Neill, and Sierra coming up. It's tied at 1. A view from the outside at the ballpark in Arlington. Spectacular ballpark here in Texas, and a pretty good crowd on hand on this Easter Sunday. We go to the top of the 6th inning. Roger Pavlik to Joe Girardi, strike 1. Pavlik got a little help tonight on a couple of base running plays. And the Rangers, of course, executed, which is the big thing. If they had not executed on each play, the Yankee runner would have been safe.
Right.
Girardi has a double and a strikeout in this one. And that's part of what the Rangers have done this first week of the year. Defensively, they have made all the plays. They've committed only 2 errors. And when they've had to execute plays that wouldn't be called errors, you know, you throw to the wrong base, or you overthrow your cutoff man, things like that. They've made those plays as well. And we've seen that tonight back at Roger Pavlik. 1-1 in the 6th. Also, the Rangers' pitching has been excellent this first week. I mean, they haven't just been clobbering teams with their power. They've been getting the strong pitching. That's a foul out of play. The 2.16 team earned run average coming into this game. And it's very early yet. We don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think a lot of people felt like their starting rotation didn't look all that strong coming in. Dick Bosman, the pitching coach, alongside manager Johnny Oates there. Down the right field line, but foul. And Kenny Hill's off to a fine start. The man they acquired to replace Kenny Rogers as their #1 man. He's 2-0 with his first week. Pavlik for the 2nd straight outing, pitching very well. And Kevin Gross, a guy, as you see,
That's Kenny Hill.
and Bobby Witt there, another one who pitched well here last night. He's on the left, Kenny Hill on the right. Strike 3, Girardi goes down. And there is one away.
The high fastball with 2 strikes, I think, is the most effective pitch in baseball because guys will chase it. Because with 2 strikes and you see it coming, you know you have to rush, and you do not take time to decide whether it's in the strike zone or not. But I think the tone was set by Kenny Hill in the opening game on Monday here, John. He pitched so well. He got ahead of the hitters. He threw strikes, and I think that set the tone for the other starters to follow suit, and they've done that so far.
Here's Paul O'Neill, who has struck out and flying to shallow right. 0 for 2. 1-1 in the 6th inning. Just off the outside with a fastball. Well, that's a good point Johnny Oates made. The same point, Joe, before the game. When Kenny Hill went out there and seemed like he started ahead of just about every hitter. It was 0-1, 0-2 on every hitter. That's a ball outside. And the other starters took note of that. So, well, man, if he can do that, maybe I can do it. Even Bobby Witt here last night got ahead of a lot of hitters early on, and that's been a problem he's had over the years, battling his control.
And any pitching coach will tell you the best pitch in baseball is strike 1.
Taps slowly to short. Stillwell. Out number 2. O'Neill is 0 for 3. This is the 6th game of the year for the Rangers. Monday, Kenny Hill 8 2/3 innings for a win. Roger Pavlik went 6 innings, only 2 runs for a win. Kevin Gross, who had a great spring after a poor season last year and a great first start against Boston. And Bobby Witt last night. And then Kenny Hill tonight. Actually, Hill went into the 6th inning. And there should be some decimals after that. And here's Pavlik with his 2nd consecutive strong start. Only a run and 4 hits allowed so far to the Yankees. Here's Ruben Sierra. Slider misses. Ball 1. 1-1 in the 6th inning.
And remember, these pitchers have gone against some pretty good offensive attacks, the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees, and they've only given up like a couple of home runs in the first 6 games of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Rangers are a team people said, hey, Boston and the Yankees are playing Texas, and there's this team and that team a lot early. They should get off to a fast start. Instead, it's Texas that's prospered against the Red Sox and Yankees. Although David Cohn and company trying to end the party for the Rangers here tonight. 1-2 to Sierra. As you see Pavlik again throwing strikes. He fell behind O'Neill but came back to get him. But he's ahead of Sierra here. 1-2. David Cohn, who's thrown 85 pitches already in 5 innings. I'd like to get a little offensive help here. And that's a ball. 2-2 to Sierra. Well, after his base running gaffe in the 4th inning, Ruben would like to get a hold of one and just put the Yanks ahead here single-handedly. Tino Martinez on deck. He would be next. Oh, he swung at a terrible pitch. Strike 3. And the fans get on him. It'll be McLemore, then Will Clark and Mickey Tettleton in a 1-1 game when we get back. John Miller, Joe Morgan, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from the ballpark in Arlington. Yanks won, and the unbeaten Rangers won. And David Cone trying to avoid the Yankees being swept here at home, but he and Pavlik involved in a good matchup here. 1-1 last of the 6. David Cone, he's hoping to make a home with the Yankees, and of course, as he said himself, he'd become the hired gun from the Royals to the Mets. Had a big year in '88 with the Mets. Then traded to the Blue Jays in '92, helping them win a World Series. Then back to the Royals for a couple of years. But before last year, as the Cy Young winner, traded back to the Blue Jays. And then in mid-year, the Blue Jays sent him back into a pennant race with the Yankees. And, of course, he helped lead the Yankees to a wild card berth. David Cone, he's had success wherever he's been. Mark McLemore hits a slider into right field for a base hit. First hit of the game for McLemore, and now the power's coming up. Clark and Tettleton. Hit number 4 for Texas. McLemore's first.
And this may be one of those situations where you can really find out if Will Clark is back to the Will Clark of old by being able to pull the ball, or if he is just going to be a straightaway hitter. Because if you're a left-handed hitter and they have the hole at first base and you can take advantage of it, you need to pull the ball, and that'll allow the runner to go around to third. But it gives you a big hole to shoot at on the right side.
On the outside corner. Strike 1 call. Clark has walked and struck out looking. Used to be much more of a home run hitter with the Giants. Last year, the home run and RBI figures down. Of course, part of that also, Joe, because he'd been hurt a lot.
Yeah, he has, especially the elbow, the right elbow was bothering him. He couldn't straighten it out. He wasn't getting good extension, so he was slapping the ball to left field, slapping the ball around the ballpark. But he feels great now, and he has been driving the ball, on the right side. He has been pulling the ball.
McLemore at first. McLemore can steal a base. And that's a ball. It is 1-1 to Clark. McLemore scored 21 times last year. 20 the year before with Baltimore. Last year, 21 out of 32. But you're saying keep that hole open on the right side for Clark, at least for now.
Well, if he can steal a base, he should go ahead. But I'm just saying that Clark has to take advantage of it while it's there. But, one of the things to remember is that when you're injured, and Clark has had a bad elbow, you develop bad habits just slapping the ball around. And the question is, can you get back to your old self when the injury heals? You develop a lot of bad habits when you have something wrong with your hands and your arms.
Powell, he came inside with it. 1-2 the count.
That's an example of what I'm talking about. See, he didn't get the bat out in front there. And again, if you watch, this is the pitch he should pull. Now watch where he contacts the ball. He does not get it out in front. And he knows that that's a pitch that he had to pull, because very rarely will a right-hander come inside with that hole open over there on the right side.
McLemore back. And I'm wondering also here, McLemore is more likely to try and steal now that there are 2 strikes on Clark. So now Clark at the mercy of Cone with 2 strikes here. McLemore, pretty good sized lead over there. And he has to hurry back. Martinez applying the tag, and McLemore asks for timeout. And Napoleon, the coach over there for the Rangers. McLemore dusting himself off after the dive back to the bag. 1-1 is the score. Last of the 6, nobody out. David Cone had base runners in every inning except the last inning, the 5th. And he strikes out Clark for the 2nd straight time. Strikeout number 6 for David Cone. Both he and Pavlik have 6 strikeouts in this one. 1-1, last of the 6th.
Let's take a look at this pitch. He came inside, which makes Will Clark have to rush. Now he goes away again. That's just good pitching by David Cone. As we said before, he's not just a thrower out there. He knows exactly what he does. He wants to do. And every pitch has a purpose.
And we're only in the 6th inning, Joe. But, he's facing hitters right now in a tight game where the Game's on the line.
Right.
When he makes a mistake to Clark or Tettleton, they know what to do with the mistake. Tettleton, a big cut, but he doesn't get it. He crushed a 3-run homer into the upper deck in the first game against Dwight Gooden.
This is not Tettleton's strong suit, chasing that high fastball. Not a lot of people, very few hitters can make a living off the high fastball.
McLemore, the runner at first. Martinez on the bag with him. Strike 2 called. Nice pitch.
Yes, that's more of where Tettleton can handle the ball, though, down. He likes the ball down. But it was a good pitch there from Cone, a changeup. He took a lot off of that, and Tettleton was way out in front. But that was following a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. So now when he throws a fastball by you as a hitter, you say, I have to hurry up and start my bat a little sooner. So you start a little sooner, he throws your changeup.
McLemore dives back to the bag.
There's nothing that a fastball hitter hates more than to have a fastball thrown by him.
I hate it myself. But sometimes a guy like Cone who's got that kind of a fastball, he can do it. Up and away, missing badly on that one. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Tettleton. Cone looked a little frustrated there. Almost as if to say, man, what good did that pitch do me?
Yeah, well, he definitely did not get the ball where he wanted, because he does have a purpose with just about every pitch that he throws.
McLemore at first, 1 out. McLemore has to dive back to the bag. Newsom, a left-handed hitter, is on deck. Newsom is the man who delivered the Rangers' run with a homer in the second. Bernie Williams had homered for the Yankees in the top of the second. David Cone takes the deep breath. 1 and 2 to Tettleton. Back to the bag. Cone tonight for 92 pitches now, but also has made 12 pickoff throws to first base. And we're only in the 6th inning. We haven't seen him make any little lob throws to first either. He's made some rather serious throws to first. Johnny Oates, unbeaten and untied as manager of the Rangers here. Trying to make the Texas Rangers into America's team. Now, if this is the NFL going 5-0, now that would be a big story. 2 and 2 to Mickey Tettleton. 1-1 in the last of the 6th inning. You see, in Tettleton with 1 homer in 20 at-bats against Cone, but also in half of those at-bats, Cone has struck him out. 2 and 2 the count to Tettleton. Too low. Well, it's 3 and 2 now. So Cone, who had him in a deep hole, 0 and 2. Remember, he missed badly with that 0 and 2 pitch, got upset with himself. Well, now it's full, and I would imagine McLemore is going to be off and running as Newsom awaits his turn on deck.
Tettleton does strike out a lot, but so McLemore, if he is running, he should be stealing the base, not going on a hit and run. When you have speed and the count goes to 3 and 2, you should steal the base. Don't just take off after he releases it and think that the hitter's going to protect you.
You got a strikeout pitcher out there, the guy who has struck out against him many times. McLemore back to the bag. Fans getting a little restless here. I mean, David Cone, a bronze cheer here, Joe. Last of the 6th inning. 1-1. 3 and 2 the count. McLemore. Back to the bag. Not the best pickoff throw there by Cone. I thought it would have been interesting if he made a real strong throw over there, Joe.
Well, there's no doubt that McLemore is leaning a little bit, but he's getting back safely because Cone, he doesn't have a great throw over there. He has a quick motion, but he doesn't throw the ball that hard over there, or that quickly to get there that quickly.
There he goes. Tettleton pops it up. Bernie Williams calls off Andy Fox. And Tettleton is retired. For out number 2, McLemore back to first. Say, auto racing fans. Tune to ESPN 2 on weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Are you all right?
Those sound effects. It's part of the promo.
Okay.
Here's Warren Newsom, who has homered and grounded out. He's in there in place of Juan Gonzalez, who got a hit on the right forearm with a Dwight Gooden pitch in Game 1. They finally took him out of the game an inning or so later for precautionary x-rays. The x-rays were negative. He's got a bruise in his right forearm. He's available tonight if needed as a pinch hitter, but Newsom is in there, and he's filled in nicely, having hit a home run. I don't know if Gonzalez would have done any better than that in this game against a guy like David Cone. David Cone, who threw 118 pitches on opening day in Cleveland last Tuesday, up to 97 tonight already. We're only in the 6th inning. He went 7 against Cleveland with 118 pitches on Tuesday. 1-1, last of the 6th. McLemore back to the bat. He is really concentrated on keeping McLemore over at first base. Cone has thrown over there 10 times in this inning, Joe. And you thought I wasn't keeping count.
And I guess McLemore's bill is a little bit like Lou Brock. Maybe he thinks it's Lou Brock at first base.
So you think it's a case of mistaken identity. All right. Newsom fouls it back and out of play. 0-2 the count.
John, I want to make a point. The last time, on a 3-2 pitch to Tettleton, when McLemore took off, I watched Jeter to see if he was giving up his position too quickly, and he was not. He waited there like the veteran and moved over once the ball was hit. So he looks like he knows how to play that position. Had some good coaching along the way.
Derek Jeter, 21-year-old from Kalamazoo, Michigan, with just great minor league credentials. Well, tonight we haven't really seen him get involved in anything spectacular. There's McLemore at first, 2 down, 2 strikes to Newsom. And Newsom tires of waiting, and he backs away at the plate.
Well, everyone is booing David Cone, but that's his job. I mean, you're at the point of the ball game. You're in the 6th inning in a tie ball game. You cannot afford to let the runner steal the base. So you do whatever you have to do to keep him there. He has to take some extra base hit to score him from first base. If he steals second, he can score with a single. So he's doing his job.
And that one will hit McLemore to second base. Girardi couldn't handle it. Rather ironic.
Yes. He handled all the low ones with the runner at third base and 2 outs. This ball just seems to get away. That ball should have been caught. It did not bounce in front of the plate. It just got away from Girardi. So I'm sure they will score that as a pass ball. Well, they scored a wild pitch, but that should have been a pass ball.
Cone made 11 pickoff throws to first base. And now there's McLemore at second. A base hit could bring him home. And Newsom fouls it high in the air off to the left. Back out of play. 1-2. The ball bounces in front of the catcher.
Right.
They're obligated to call it a wild pitch, but as you clearly saw, it did not bounce until it bounced off his glove. 1-2 the count. This has been a game of adventures on the base paths here. Bases not taken by the Yankees, and perhaps a base now given to the Rangers, although we'll see. Newsom's going to have to make him pay for it here. David Cone. Now he wants Girardi to come out and check with him. On deck, by the way, is Dean Palmer, the right-handed hitter,
who has not fared so well against David Cone.
He struck out twice tonight and struck out most of the time in his career against Cone. So I don't see Cone even coming close to giving in here to Newsom. Because Newsom has shown tonight that he's got the power to take Cone out of here. That was back in the 2nd for the Rangers' only run. 2-2.
And this is a good point here. Again, Cone knows how well he pitches against Dean Palmer, but he has 2 strikes on Newsom. Do you just go ahead and try to get him to chase a pitch out of the strike zone, or do you really go after him?
Well, maybe that's the answer. answer.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get him to change the pitch out of the strike zone.
Although I'm not surprised, really, that Newsom didn't swing at that.
No.
Maybe he thought Frank Howard was coming up. There's Dean Palmer on deck. Texas, by the way, with McLemore in scoring position now, runner at second or third, we call scoring position. They've not been able to get a hit in these spots tonight. 0 for 5 against Cone in the clutch. And he ends up walking Newsom. And I think to Newsom's credit there, that was a tough pitch by Cone, but out of the strike zone.
But I don't think there was any doubt that Cone, after the runner moved down to second, McLemore, he was not going to give in to Newsom. We're not going to give him anything that he could handle.
So Dean Palmer now. Palmer, since opening the season, has not been hitting against anybody. But he has struck out twice against Cone tonight. 2 on, 2 out, 6th inning. Popped up. Coming over in foul ground is Girardi, but it's back out of play, just behind the owner's box down there. Earlier tonight, we saw Governor George W. Bush, the governor of Texas, here tonight in attendance with his mother, Barbara Bush, the former First Lady. And as always, Joe, when we see her at the ball game, she had her scorecard, keeping track of everything going on.
If Dean Palmer didn't handle that last pitch, he's going to have trouble with David Cone for a long time. That was a good pitch to hit, and he was right on it, but he fouled it back.
0-1 to Dean Palmer. 2 on, 2 out. 6th inning in a tie game. Slider missing badly, though, and that's the 105th pitch by David Cone. There's McLemore, the possible go-ahead run at second base. Newsom at first base. Both ready to go in anything with 2 down in the 6th inning. Dean Palmer, very powerful right-handed swinger. Fastball. He got his pitch to hit there, Joe.
Well, that one was a better pitch for Cone than the first pitch. The first pitch was a little hanger, and he didn't handle it. That one at least had some pop on it. That ball was moving a little bit, had a little movement on it.
So Palmer has only put the ball in play 3 times against Cone in his 12 lifetime at-bats against him, and has never had a hit against him. Slider at the end of the bat, foul amongst the spectators. 1-2, and meanwhile the pitch count continues to rise. But David Cone, the fan, got himself a souvenir. He's checking it for scuff marks. His wife, she looks like an umpire, deciding whether or not they should keep it. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Dean Palmer. Rusty Greer, a left-handed hitter, is on deck. McLemore at second. Newsom at first. Look out!
I'm sure Dean Palmer said, "Thank you, John."
I shouted as loudly as I could there. I got scared for a second.
Well, this is not a fastball. You see it's a splitter that gets away. You see the rotation on the ball. It just gets away from him. Because if this was as a splitter, if that was a good fastball, it probably would have nailed him.
Well, I'm wondering, Joe, if Cone is showing signs of fatigue now. That's about 110 pitches for the game, about 25 in this inning.
And as you mentioned earlier, he pitched under duress most of the ballgame.
Palmer fights it off. And I don't think Cone got that slider out where he wanted to either.
That pitch was up a little bit. It was away, which saved him, but it was up. He has not been able to make the pitch that he wanted to throw to Palmer since he got the 2 strikes on him.
Well, you see the totals, 109 pitches officially. I was estimating 24 in this inning alone. This will be the 25th. And Mel Stottlemyre on the phone to the bullpen. 2 on, 2 out. Ball 3. And again, he's not making the pitches now, Joe. This is the worst we've seen Cone in a spot. Really starting to labor.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any doubt in his mind what he's going to throw here. And Dean Palmer should not, in his own mind, have any doubt either. He should not be looking for a fastball.
The runners will be going. This is the third consecutive 3-2 pitch. The runners go. Slider, and he got it just as you predicted. And Dean Palmer has been struck out for the third consecutive time, and Cone gets through it. The Rangers have not had a hit against him yet. For the man in scoring position, it remains tied. Sunday Night Baseball continues. We head into the late innings now from the ballpark in Arlington. 1-1. The unbeaten Rangers tied with the Yankees in the seventh. Here is Tino Martinez. Powerful left-handed swinger against Roger Pavlik. Fouled away, and again, as we've seen all night long, Pavlik working to the outside against these lefties. Tino has grounded to second and flied out to right center. Each team with a run and 4 hits, although Pavlik has had to work much less hard than has his counterpart, David Cone. Oh, there's some help from Tino Martinez. 0-2 the count.
You know, we're talking about how Pavlik's ball runs away and how he works left-handers away. The thing that makes Greg Maddox so great is that he uses the entire plate on both right-handers and left-handers. He runs the ball in on the left-hander, he'll move the ball away, and he does it on both sides of the plate.
To the outside again. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Tino Martinez. Bernie Williams is on deck. Bernie's the man who delivered the Yankees' run with a second-inning home run. To the outside again with that pitch. It's pulled over to Clark. Easy out. 1 away.
I want to show you something about a hitter. This was the 2-2 pitch. It goes to 3-2. Automatically, the hitter starts to think fastball. You have to wipe that out of your mind. Now, that's a slider for strike 3. Every slider that he threw in that position before, Palmer swung at. But what happens when you get to 3-2, your mind automatically flashes back to fastball. But the hitter has to get that out of his mind and say, I'm just going to look for the ball with 2 strikes. But that, if he would have thrown that pitch 2-2, I guarantee you Palmer would have swung at it. But because it was 3-2, in the back of his mind, he was looking for a fastball.
And maybe from some pitchers he would have gotten it.
Right.
Bernie Williams. And that's ball 1, but that's
why Cone is what he is, because he can pitch out of jams. He knows how to pitch when he's in trouble. Knows how to make the proper pitch.
I mean, and truly, in that spot, maybe the game itself is on the line.
Definitely. I mean, we are in the 6th inning. You give up a run here and you may lose because you can go into the bullpen and they can usually hold it.
Bernie Williams with a base hit, and that's the Yankees' first hit since Dion James singled in the 4th. Of course, on that same single, Ruben Sierra got thrown out trying to take 3rd by Rusty Greer. Greer has had 2 outfield assists in this game tonight. 1-1. Bernie Williams aboard with 1 out in the 7th inning.
John, I think that's what makes baseball such a great game, the confrontations between the pitcher and the batter, the psychology that goes on between them after every pitch, because your thinking changes every pitch if you're a hitter, and the same thing as a pitcher. And you as the hitter, you have to protect certain things with 2 strikes, but before you get 2 strikes, you can be as aggressive as you want.
And then there's Wade Boggs, who sometimes is most aggressive after he gets to 2 strikes.
Well, he's just a great hitter. I mean, he knows how to hit.
Well, you're talking about mortals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't apply to
regular guys.
Yeah. To the Boggses and the Tony Gwynns.
Right. They do have a different approach, and I think that's what makes them great. Makes them both great. I mean, Boggs. The reason Boggs is such a great hitter is he keeps his eyes on the ball. He keeps his head still, and he has a level swing. He doesn't try to do too much with it. And if you think about it, that's the same thing that makes Tony Gwynn a good hitter. Keeps his head on the ball, and he doesn't try to do too much with the pitch.
There's another guy, not a bad hitter, Will Clark. He's holding on the bag at first against Bernie Williams. Williams has great speed, but he's never really learned the art of base stealing. He's back to the bag safely there.
But Rodriguez is not behind the plate. Do you let him run anyway?
Well, if I'm the manager, I do. I don't let him, Joe. I tell him.
And I think it's interesting because, remember now, the Yankees have not been hitting many balls out of the ballpark, especially their left-handed power hitters. So you have to make something happen. You have to give yourself a chance to win with a single.
Dion James has struck out and singled. Of course, Dion, he's not a power hitter. He's a guy, if you put a runner in scoring position, is well capable of bringing him home with a single.
And you can see Pavlik is thinking the same way. He's trying to keep Williams close at first base.
Joe Torre, Yankee manager. Much older. Now the manager of a club that doesn't exist at this point. I mean, it exists, but they don't play any games.
Exists on paper.
Yeah. I mean, the club exists. There's no players. Although they have some minor league players. They're starting to develop some players for the future. Joe Torre would like to head home to Yankee Stadium. The Yankees' home opener is Tuesday afternoon. He'd like to head home with a win here. Back to Pavlik. He bobbles it. Gets the one at second, and that's all they'll get. He had a chance for a double play, but couldn't handle the ball cleanly. Bernie Williams is forced out at second base. Thursday night on ESPN, the New Jersey Devils' playoff chances will be on the line when they take on the Washington Capitals. The defending Stanley Cup champion Devils defeated the Rangers 4-2 this afternoon, and right now they hold the last playoff spot by 2 points over the Lightning of Tampa Bay. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. The Devils and the Caps on ESPN. Tell you what, the Tampa Bay Lightning under general manager Phil Esposito, they have made a lot of fans for the NHL down there this year in the Tampa Bay area, playing at the Thunderdome. I was down there during spring training, Joe, and they had a real great stretch going. They won 9 times with a win and a tie in one 11-game stretch to get into the playoff race, and all of a sudden everybody's talking hockey in Tampa Bay.
I'm still a Devils fan, though.
I know. It's because you're loyal to good friends.
Right.
Ball 1 the count to Derek Jeter. Over at first, Dion James. Jeter, always an outstanding hitter in the minor leagues, although Joe Torre, trying to take a little heat off of the rookie, said, hey, if he hits 240 or 250, that'll be just fine. We want him to have a strong glove, and whenever he hits is a bonus. But Jeter, at 21, doesn't look at it that way. He says, hey, if I only hit 240, I'm going to be really disappointed.
He should have a lot of confidence in his ability. You can see they have made up their mind they're going to pitch him inside. He was hit, remember, last time up trying to get the ball in. That pitch was inside. I believe that the Rangers believe that they have a better chance of throwing fastballs in and sliders away to him.
It's a strike, and that maybe that new strike. It's supposed to be calling a little bit of a lower strike this year with the new rule. And we got one right there. 2-1 the count to Derek Jeter. A little bullpen activity for the Rangers now. We're in the 7th inning in a 1-1 game. 2-2. Nice pitch. And he came inside, Joe. That's
in under the hands. And maybe that's the spot that they're going to try to pitch him.
There's Ed Vosberg, a left-hander from the Ranger bullpen. He worked in the first game very briefly. In fact, he got the final couple of outs in game 1. Rangers won the first game 7-2 of this doubleheader. They also won the first game of the series 4-2 last night. Clark. Pavlik with the putout. Jeter retired. No relief for David Cone in sight. It's still a tie game. Rusty Greer will be coming up. Sunday night baseball. The unbeaten Rangers against the New York Yankees. And David Cone, one of the premier pitchers in the game today. Cone tonight, Joe, 111 pitches for a lot of sliders.
And the slider has been very effective for him. You see 26 of those 38 have been for strikes.
Rusty Greer, the hitter, and he looks at strike 1.
And when he gets in trouble, he uses the fastball to keep the hitter honest, but he's using the slider to get them out with.
Greer is 0 for 2. He's got some power. That slider going inside at 79 miles an hour on the Jugs gun. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1. Last of the 7th. The question is, how much longer can Cone go in only his 2nd start of the year?
Well, I'm sure that Stottlemyre is communicating with Cone, and Joe Torre is communicating with him when he goes in to find out how he feels. I mean, they've got to know, you know, that his pitch count, so they're asking, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm sure he's saying that he is, or else he would not be back out there. but he's also a veteran pitcher that knows it doesn't do any good to say I'm okay if I'm not. So he will usually tell you the truth, and that's the trust that a manager has to have in your stopper.
Tried to backdoor him with that slider, but missed with a 2-2. There's left-hander Steve Howe warming up in the Yankee bullpen. First bullpen activity the Yankees have had in this game. A 1-1 tie. Greer with 2 strikes chased that high slider. 2-2.
And no one expects Cone to throw the same in the 7th inning as he did in the 1st inning, but you still have to have movement on your pitches and still be able to locate it.
Down and in, and it's a full count. Cone has had problems many times tonight, Joe, but particularly the last couple of innings, putting hitters away after getting ahead of them. This is the 4th straight batter to which he's gone 3-2. The forkball, and Tino Martinez to Cone. Out number 1. Now Kurt Stillwell comes up. Now remember, on the bench for the Rangers is a guy named Juan Gonzalez. Should they need him tonight? They also have, as you see, Gonzalez down there with the ice pack wrapped on his right forearm. Trainer Danny Wheat there in the red shirt alongside. And Gonzalez is a slugger. And Ivan Rodriguez also is available. In fact, he has come out on deck. Dave Valley, the catcher, due up next, and there's Ivan Rodriguez. So he will, apparently, come up to hit for Valley. Also, I'm sure they'd like to get Rodriguez defense in there late in a tight ball game. Stillwell takes a ball. 1 strike. Stillwell has fly deep to left and popped to short. This guy really hung around a long time in this game, Joe. Kurt Stillwell. And it goes to 2-1. The Rangers, of course, without their regular shortstop, Benji Gill, has had some back surgery, a disc problem. May not be back until June. He picked up a couple of veterans. Kevin Elster, who played the first game today and hit a home run. And Kurt Stillwell. Stillwell made a pretty good play tonight on a relay in the first inning to throw out Wade Boggs at the plate. 2-1 the count. There's a drive into center. Bernie Williams going back. Makes the catch. Hit that ball well, but to the wrong part of the ballpark.
Bernie gets a pretty good jump on the ball because the ball was hit well by Stillwell, but you see he was on the move before we could get the camera on him, so he got a good jump on it.
Now the reaction of the crowd is to the announcement of Ivan Rodriguez coming on to pinch hit for Dave Valley. And Rodriguez off to a fast start here in the season's first week. So far, it's been a relatively easy 7th inning for David Cone. Joe Torre keeps a watchful eye on his ace right-hander. That'll be the stopper. Here's Rodriguez. Rodriguez doesn't have a whole lot of power, but he can hit a home run. There's ball 1. But they think he might start showing more and more power as the years go on. He's still a real young guy. He hit 12 homers last year. 16 the year before. And Cone now at 2-0. 91 miles an hour, though, with that fastball out of the strike zone. And it's a beautiful day in Texas, but a nice cool evening here, so help a pitcher keep his strength out, I guess.
That's a big swing right there. I mean, he was not trying to hit a single to right field on that pitch. But 2-0, you have a free shot at him. You look for a pitch, maybe a fastball. You get it, and you attack it. That pitch was a good pitch from Cone, though. It was away from Rodriguez. He was looking for something middle of the plate in.
As I say here in Texas, it also had a little giddy up on it. Boy, howdy. Shallow right center, O'Neill. And for only the the second time tonight the Rangers go 3 up, 3 down. We head to the 8th inning. Fox and then Boggs coming up 1-1. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by the more than 1,250 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And that's a look at the Legends of Baseball Museum here at the ballpark in Arlington. A special display on the man they used to call Raja. Rogers Hornsby, one of the greatest second basemen of all time, particularly as a hitter. Hit over 400 a couple of times, although the statistician Bill James once made the comment that he thought maybe at his best Joe Morgan was at least just as effective offensively as Rogers Hornsby. And of course, they're not only both in the Hall of Fame, but now both enshrined in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Joe Morgan just being inducted last night, joining Hornsby and many others. And
they say that he was the greatest right-handed hitter ever. You know, that's quite a statement. Now, he was a great hitter.
Right-handed hitter who hit over 400 a couple of times and hit 40 homers one year when he hit over 400. Here's Andy Fox in his first Major League game. At second base for the Yankees tonight, he takes ball 1. Roger Pavlik, that was his 92nd pitch as he works into the 8th inning. But the Yankee bullpen is busy. We may have seen the last of David Cone in a 1-1 game. Ivan Rodriguez staying in the game to catch for the Rangers after pinch hitting for Valley. In fact, at this point, both bullpens are busy. Fox, the 9th place hitter, he'll be followed by Boggs and then Girardi. 8th inning. Sinking fastball misses from Pavlik. 2-1. There's Steve Howe in the Yankee bullpen. So we may see him come the 8th inning. Darrell Hamilton, Mark McLemore, and Will Clark. 2 lefties and a switch hitter in there. Scheduled to lead it off. But remember, Juan Gonzalez available on the bench for Texas. And David Cone has thrown 126 pitches. This one caught by Hamilton. He just kept going. But he tracked it down.
That was a good piece of hitting there by Fox. That ball was down and away and moving away, and he drilled it in the gap in left center field. Nice play there by Hamilton. Now watch him go down and get this pitch. Right out there away from him, he drills it on the line, and I thought for a second it was going over his head. But he gets there and makes the catch.
I thought the same thing. I thought that he didn't realize what kind of carry it had on him. Here's Wade Boggs. Ball 1. Boggs singled in the first, lined to center in the third, and grounded to second in the fifth. He's 1 for 3. 1-1 in the 8th inning. McLemore, the slow bouncer, throws out balls. 2 men down in the 8th inning in Texas. Coming up on Tuesday here on ESPN, it's an up-close prime-time special. Roy Firestone chatting with some baseball greats.
I'm trying to be not so cute, but I guess it's coming off as cute. Will justice prevail?
Always. Justice will always prevail. Can't break me down. I'll always be smiling, always to the end.
David Justice, World Series hero. It was his homer. That was the only run in the World Series clincher last October against Cleveland. Well, this fly ball by Girardi on the first pitch. And it's been a real strong night for Roger Pavlik. He's retired 12 of the last 13 that he's faced. And the top of the order coming up for the...
Keith Olbermann tonight on SportsCenter on the anniversary of his Met debut. Gooden makes his Yankee debut as Darren Dalton said his Phillies farewell. And Shaq makes it after all as the Magic and Bulls meet. Earl Abbott tonight join you for the big show after the game.
David Cone told when he got back to the dugout that he was going to be able to call it a night. 126 pitches, but again, just a gritty, dogged performance by Cone. And he had base runners in almost every inning in a tight ball game. Most of those 126 pitches were very important pitches.
Well, David Cone, again, knows how to pitch. He knows how to pitch in tight ball games. And as usual, he gives his team a chance to win.
Steve Howe on him relief. You got Hamilton, a lefty, McLemore, a switch hitter, who's better batting left-handed, and who will have to bat right-handed against Howe, and then Clark, a lefty. So Howe gets the call from Joe Torre.
Darrell Hamilton, 1 for 3 with a bunt single and a steal. And he's a very important man for how to keep off the base paths in a 1-1 game, because he does have excellent speed and he can create all kinds of strategic problems for the Yankees if he gets on. And of course, don't forget, Juan Gonzalez, the big right-handed slugger, available on the bench. Slider inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, that's a question, Joe. I mean, why not Gonzalez right here?
Well, I believe that you do not lead off the inning with a slugger. For one reason is that if he gets on base, then you have to pinch run for him, or if you leave him in, you're not going to likely bunt him over. You've got your leadoff hitter. This is why he's the leadoff hitter. You would love to have a tie ball game with your leadoff hitter leading off the inning that you think you can win the game in. And if they score a run here, they can, naturally hold to get the Yankees out in the top of the ninth, and they will win the ball game. So if he's not good enough to hit in this situation, truthfully, he shouldn't be your leadoff hitter. And I think Johnny Oates is showing that he is good enough to hit in this position, and he's his leadoff hitter. He's going to go with him.
Hamilton with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. You see Hamilton, when he was healthy with the Brewers, very tough, and he's got himself a base hit. And now McLemore, and again, it's just as we were talking, Joe. Now Johnny Oates has a lot of different things he can do.
Well, I don't think he has a lot of things. I think he has one thing. I think he has to make McLemore bunt the runner in the scoring position. But you're right, it does give him some options in that he can hit and run. He can, do a few things with the speed at first base. But in this situation, you have to bunt the runner to second base. Give your team a chance to win the ball game right here. Because you do not want to go to the 9th inning with a tie ball game if you can help it. You have an opportunity, let's take advantage of it.
Well, you're saying if you're Johnny Oates, don't get cute, just have the game square out
and bunt him over, and that's what he's doing. This game is simple if you play it properly. Use the fundamentals of the game, play the game fundamentally correct, and you will usually come out the winner. Team that makes the fewest mistakes usually wins the ball game.
Now, the Rangers have some bullpen activity. The Yankee bullpen is quiet. Boggs very shallow at third as Martinez is on the bag with Hamilton at first. And Howe has missed twice. It's 2-0. Now, does that change Johnny Oates' mind?
Well, see, it would not change my mind because I sent him up there to bunt. I still want him to bunt. I want that runner at second base.
If it was good strategy then, it's still
good strategy. I want the runner at second base.
He gets the bunt down. It's a nice one. Girardi's play is to first. That's Fox covering. So McLemore has executed.
And that's good baseball. Now you give your team a chance to win the ball game. And you have Will Clark coming up and Mickey Tettleton. And like you said, you still have Juan Gonzalez sitting over there. So I think Johnny Oates has played this properly, and he's given his team a chance to win.
And now the Yankee bullpen gets busy. And I would say for one reason. Jeff Nelson, the big right-hander, up for Juan Gonzalez. As Torrey looks ahead a couple of batters. But right now, perhaps the game on the line, the veteran Will Clark with the possible go-ahead run a base hit away. There's a high drive to right field. O'Neill is back. He's under it now. Circling a bit. He's got it in front of the wall. Tagging at second is Hamilton, and he goes down to third.
Well, I tell you what, the wind is blowing in because Will Clark hit that ball hard, and he thought it was a home run. You see, he's very upset. I mean, I thought it was out of here. But the wind is blowing in from right field. Now, look, this is a beautiful swing. That's a Will Clark swing right there. And he thinks he got it, too. You can tell when a hitter thinks he hit it well enough to get it out of here. Now, watch his reaction. I mean, he can't believe it. But the wind is blowing in from right field.
The wind off the prairie, which has always been the prevailing wind here at the old ballpark, Arlington Stadium, and also this one. They're going to walk Tettleton intentionally with the left-handed batting Warren Newson on deck. Now Gonzalez is still sitting there in the dugout, Joe.
And he's going to let, it looks like he's going to let Warren Newson hit.
There's ball 3. Will Clark still looking out there to right field saying, man, what? What gives here?
Yeah, I mean, when he hit the ball and the wedge took off from the bat, I thought the ball was going in the upper deck. But it got out there and the wind just blew it back in, knocked it down.
Well, there's the flag. That's out above the scoreboard in right field. You can see it's not only blowing straight in from right field, it's blowing in hard from right field. And he did get under this ball. I mean, it was a ball headed for the second deck.
Yeah, I mean, Will, I've seen him hit it home runs a lot of times, and I can tell you he thought he got that one. And O'Neill started back for the wall, and then he realized that the wind was knocking it down, and he came in, and you can see Will still shaking his head.
Instead of moving laterally along the wall as the wind knocked it down. Still talking it over down there, the dugout, almost as if perhaps Joe to say, if I'd known about that wind, I never would have signed here. Well, here is Newson, indeed, being kept in the game. 1-1 now. Even if they went to Gonzalez here, we'd see Jeff Nelson, who is real tough on right-handers. The Rangers have not had a hit in this game with a runner in scoring position. 0 for 7 as a team.
Steve Howe is not real difficult for a left-hander to read, to see the ball. He just comes after you. He has good stuff. He has a sinking fastball and a slider, but you can see the ball. He doesn't hide the ball from you, so you get an opportunity to go after him. He's not a herky-jerky left-hander.
Warren Newson, his home run in the second, the Rangers' only run of the game. Strike at the knees. There's that low strike again. 1 ball and 2 strikes. A few moments ago in the Ranger dugout, we caught this shot of Danny Wheat, the trainer, talking to Gonzalez. We see Gonzalez shaking his head, and I don't know, Joe, if that means I'm not available.
Well, I think that means no in English and Spanish. I'm not hitting.
No in every language. Into left field. Base hit. The Rangers have gone ahead as Hamilton has scored, and Warren Newson, the new Ranger, off the bench. And he has delivered again.
And again, Steve Howe is not that difficult for a left-hander to pick the ball up off of, but he does have good stuff. So he gets you out with good stuff rather than the fact that he's left-handed.
And that'll bring Torrey to the mound.
It's a low fastball, and Newsom slaps it to left field on a line. That's good hitting there by Newsom. This goes the other way.
So the Rangers have won every which way in this first week, and now a man off the bench getting it done. New pitcher coming in. We'll be back. Former Seattle Mariner Jeff Nelson comes on to pitch to face Dean Palmer, but the Rangers are leading 2-1. The left-handed batting Warren Newson off the bench. His first day of playing for his new team. And Newson against the left-hander Steve Howe. Moments after you, Joe, said that Howe might not be that tough against him.
Well, watch how his shoulders open up. Now you can see his arm right there. He lets you see the ball quickly. Now, he gets you out because he has a 90-mile-an-hour fastball with real good movement on it. It sinks, and he has a slider. He doesn't get the left-hander out because of deception. He gets him out because he overpowers him usually. So he does give you a chance to see the ball, and that was what I was talking about when I said he isn't that difficult for a left-hander to pick up.
Here's Dean Palmer. Glad that David Cohn is no longer in there, except Jeff Nelson has been just as tough against him over the years as has David Cohn.
This is not Dean Palmer's night.
Next time Cohn pitches, Palmer may ask if Newson can play third. This slider outside. He is 0 for 13 lifetime against Cohn, including 3 strikeouts tonight. In his career against Nelson, he's 0 for 12 with 8 strikeouts.
To have your 2 worst nightmares in the same ball game is difficult.
But so far it hadn't mattered that much because Warren Newson, Joe, the Rangers' new secret weapon, they may be inducting him into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame in another week if he keeps this up. Newson hadn't even played all week. There's the Rangers' new closer, Mike Henneman, former Tiger, former Astro, and also the left-hander Ed Vosberg is up with him. The Yankees will have their big guns up in the 9th inning, by the way, as we look ahead. There's a strike to Palmer, 2-1. It'll be Paul O'Neill, Ruben Sierra, and Tino Martinez. The 4th batter due up would be Bernie Williams. So they've got the big guns coming up in the 9th. Tettleton at second, Newson at first. And that slider fouled away.
Well, John, you mentioned the guys coming up for the Yankees in the 9th. That's why it was important for Johnny Oates to play this inning the proper way and give his team a chance, you know, to go ahead. As I said, you didn't want to go into the ninth inning of a tie ball game with the Yankees, with the hitters they had coming up in the ninth. So you have to give Johnny Oates a lot of credit. He stuck with Newsom. He stuck with Hamilton, you know, in situations where you think, well, maybe I should pinch hit or whatever. So these are the times that managers win or lose, help you win ball games over the course of the season. Not so much of changing pitchers or things like that, but making decisions late in a tie ball game and the proper decisions.
And, of course, in the men you go with, getting it done.
Right.
Up the middle, and it's a base hit for Palmer. Rounding third is Tettleton, and he will score. And there's the extra run the Rangers need so badly. Dean Palmer delivers only his second hit of the year, the first ever for him against Jeff Nelson. 3-1 Rangers.
And I tell you what, we need to tip our hat to Dean Palmer because it has been a rough night for him. But you know what? He just kept battling. He went up there. He kept swinging. And as long as you're aggressive at the plate and you swing the bat, you have a chance of getting a base hit. But I think it's really great for him, you know, the way he's battled. Here's the slider from Nelson. He grounds it right back up the middle, and Nelson can't get his glove down in time. So tip of the hat to Dean Palmer.
Now Rusty Greer. Slider outside, ball one. Roger Pavlik, 98 pitches tonight. 1 run, 5 hits allowed through 8. Oh, and now his ball club has given him the lead here in the 8th inning. He's probably thrown his last pitch with the bullpen heating up. Greer, base hit left field. The gates have opened up. Here comes a throw by Dion James. Hey! Warren Newson. He can do it all. Now his running game into gear. He runs pretty well, and he beat that throw home.
You see Nelson's ball runs away from the left-handed hitter, and you have to give Greer credit. He just goes that way with it, lines it. Now James comes up, fires to the plate. He actually makes an accurate and strong throw, but Newsom, good job of base running, and he scores the run. Makes it a 4-1 ball game.
3 runs in for the Rangers, and all 3 of those runs charged to Steve Howe. And Joe Torre looking rather grim right now. That's not the performance that he wanted from his left-hander here in this spot. You talk about Joe making the right moves. Well, Steve Howe was the right man. That's why they have him on the staff, but he wasn't up to the task tonight.
He's the only left-hander they have on the staff.
Although Kenny Rogers is also...
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Well, now he is a reliever. I'm sorry. I always thought of Kenny Rogers as a starter, but you're right.
Later.
Yeah.
He'll start later. And he's in the bullpen, but more as a long man. Guy to bring in earlier in the game. The Texas Rangers leading 4-1. The unbeaten Rangers trying to sweep a doubleheader for the Yankees. Stillwell on the ground ball, thrown out by Fox, but the Rangers get 3. We go to the 9th. O'Neill, Sierra, Tino Martinez last. Now the 9th inning, and the unbeaten Rangers have taken a 4-1 lead. No sooner did David Cohen left this ball game than the Rangers broke loose. And now Ed Vosberg comes on with the left-handed batting O'Neill, the switch-hitting Sierra, and then the other lefty, Tino Martinez, due up for the Yanks. And Johnny Oates, with a 3-run lead, is going to go with his lefty here rather than Mike Henneman, his right-handed closer. A new shortstop also has come on for the Rangers, Kevin Elster, who homered in the first game of this doubleheader against Dwight Gooden. Elster replaces Stillwell at shortstop. And Vosberg, he's carrying a rather heavy load. He finished up the first game with 2/3 innings, 2/3 of an inning, the final 2 outs of the first game. So this guy must be very resilient, Joe. And now Paul O'Neill will come up, but with a 3-run lead against so many things changed. The big hit, Newson put him ahead. And then Jeff Nelson came out of the bullpen. But Dean Palmer got an RBI hit against him, and then so too did Rusty Greer. And Joe, execution. I mean, that inning started on the single by Hamilton, and McLemore had to bunt, and he did it. He got it done. And, of course, we also saw the Rangers execute defensively. Rusty Greer got 2 outfield assists when the Yankees did not execute on the base paths. But the Rangers did. Greer having a big night defensively. And, of course, that was a change. Juan Gonzalez had always been a left fielder here in Texas. And this year, Johnny Oates said, hey, left field is the big field in this park. Let's put Greer out there and move Gonzalez over to right. Paid off tonight. Greer making a couple of fine throws. And then Warren Newsom, the man in for the injured Juan Gonzalez, who got hit with a pitch by Dwight Gooden in game 1. 1 ball, 1 strike to O'Neill.
I think you stated it properly, and that is that the Rangers have executed very well tonight. We take it for granted that a hitter should be able to bunt with runners in the scoring position, but McLemore did the job, and he did get the runner in the scoring position, and Newsom picked him up. So that's why you win ball games. That's how you win ball games.
1-1 to O'Neill, who's hitless tonight. That fastball off the glove of Rodriguez. 2-1 the count. Warren Newsom, 31 years of age, used to be with the White Sox for many years. Last year got traded to Seattle. Lou Piniella thought he would be a big help to them in their bid to win their first title. He hit .292 in Seattle. Deep left center. And Hamilton outruns it. He's got a lot of room to cover out there, but he's well capable of doing so.
I tell you what, John, that was a big league play there because I had a very good angle on the ball here, and he just ran that ball down because the ball is curving away from him all the time because it comes from a left-handed hitter, and the ball slices away from you when it's hit that way, and he just kept going, and he ran it down. Nice play there by Hamilton.
1 out of the ninth. Don't forget now, right after the ball game, stay tuned. Sports Center coming up with Keith Olbermann and Carl Ravitch. Michael Jordan and Shaq today, head-to-head at the arena. Darren Dalton, what's his future? And Nicholas reaches a milestone in the tradition. All of the highlights and all of the day's highlights from baseball. Sports Center coming up. Sierra, strike 1. Sierra has grounded out, walked, and struck out. He also got thrown out trying to take an extra base back in the 4th inning. One of 2 extra bases the Yankees tried to take, and one of 2 extra bases the Yankees were denied by the Rangers here tonight. The Rangers, by the way, they've only made 2 errors in the first 6 games of the year. They've had a great first week. Sierra pops it up. Clark over to the dugout. Out number 2. Dwight Gooden made his American League debut, throwing for the first time in the majors in nearly 2 years. He went 5 innings, but gave up 5 runs and 5 hits with 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. At times he looked like the Gooden of old, but it was erratic. And finally, although he kept his team in the game until the 5th, he gave up a 3-run homer to Mickey Tettleton that made it 5-1. Now here is Tino Martinez. He is 0 for 3. He is hitting .118 in the first week of the year. Ball 1 from Bosberg. The Rangers 1 at a time as they go for not only the sweep of this series from the Yankees, but a sweep of the homestand. 1 at a time did they start a year 6-0. That was 1979. Fair ball. Tino Martinez is going to get extra bases as Newsom has to go into the corner to dig it out as the ball just died out there. It's a double for Tino. And now Bernie Williams will get a chance to keep the Yankees alive. 4-1 Rangers in the 9th inning.
Well, Martinez handled left-handed pitching very well last year in Seattle, and that's a good swing there in that the fastball was in and he got the bat out in front, which is what you have to do on the inside pitch. One thing I want to make sure we understand, John, is it's a 162-game season, and all teams go through spells where they play very well and other teams play poorly. Right now, the Rangers are playing great, but pretty soon it'll be the Yankees' turn, and that's what makes baseball such a great sport.
The Yankees, before this game, had lost 29 of their last 36 games in Texas. So this has been, for a long time, a terrible place for the Yankees to play. This ballpark and the old ballpark as well. Bernie Williams. Strike with a fastball. Bernie homered in the second, flied out in the fourth, and singled in the seventh.
Maybe the Yankees do not like that Texas chili.
Well, that's your first bit of analysis tonight, with which I cannot agree. One strike, the count to Bernie Williams. Roger Pavlik looking for his second win of the first week. He was excellent tonight. Low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jim Leyritz, by the way, has come out of the on-deck circle for the Yankees. And if Bernie Williams can keep this game going, Jim Leyritz, there he is, would come up as the possible tying run. That's why Mike Henneman is up in the Ranger bullpen, just in case. 1-1. 2 down. Runner at second. Top of the ninth. And Bosberg fields it, and the ball game is over. Warren Newson, one of the heroes for Johnny Oates' unbeaten Rangers. 36,000 plus were here. And the Rangers off to one of their best first weeks ever. And Roger Pavlik is already 2-0. We will see you next Sunday from Denver. Rico Bronya, the Mets. Dante Bichette and the Colorado Rockies. That's next Sunday at 8 Eastern. Sports Center coming up next. Warren Newson, he had the homer early. And then the game-winning hit of the night. John Miller, Joe Morgan. Good night, everyone.